All right. Hello, everybody. Is Ginger from the Not Ready for Quarantine Players, and we are here with another script reading. We are doing The Craft tonight. So everybody get your witchy vibes going. So this one's gonna be a lot of fun. So I will be playing Chris the Mega Douche Hooker along with several other players. A lot of bit stuff. Along with me in the bit roles, I've got Kenna. She'll be playing Laura Lizzie, among others. I've got Nick, who'll be playing the French teacher, among others. And I've got Watson, who'll be playing Sarah's dad, among others. So we're your utility players today. And in our main roles, we have Raya as Rochelle. We've got Bonnie. We've got Bonnie as Bonnie. We've got Kelsey as Bonnie. We've got Michelle as the amazing Nancy. And then we have Sean, aka Dad, as Sarah Bailey. And then we have our awesome, fearless narrator, Danny Wilson, as well. So I think Danny's gonna. Oh, and we are raising money tonight. One of these days, I'm gonna get my hosting down. I'm telling you. We are raising money tonight for the Belleville Area Humane Society. That's where I got this little. Oh, this way. This little one over here. 7 years ago, yesterday. So, if you have any extra funds, any any money goes a long way towards taking care of these animals so that they can be adopted and live to fart in my general direction most of the time. So, all right. As so, I'm going to go ahead and move this so it's not in the way. And we have Danny with a little bit of a trigger warning, and then we'll get started.
All right. So, before we start, we would like to add a trigger warning for content that may be uncomfortable or upsetting. We know it is for some of us, as it's been widely discussed in our group chat, and we understand that it also may be for some of you. So, the following script contains elements related to sexual abuse, suicide, self-harm, extensive drug use, hazing, and bullying, among others. A small note that here in the Not Ready for Quarantine players, our readings kind of allow us to get up close and personal with some of our favorite movies. But we do acknowledge that some content needs to be addressed here in the year of Manon 2024. Uh, Sometimes the content can be generally upsetting. Sometimes it just doesn't age well. And sometimes it just feels way different, whether it be personal or just strangely different in the script, because whenever we're reading it aloud, we want you to know that we are all in this struggle together. Because of that, sometimes we make changes or small bits of commentary throughout the script to help ourselves and our audience and add comfort, levity, or sometimes just to let you all know that we're acknowledging that it's weird too. Feel free to take breaks, mute the reading, or step away if the content isn't comfortable for you. And if you need further resources, we've gathered some of the following. The organization RAIN, RAINN, has great resources for dealing with sexual assault and abuse and can be found at rain.org. A 24-hour crisis hotline can be contacted through phone or text with the number 988. And if you are local to us here in St. Louis, the St. Louis Queer Support Helpline is also available Friday through Monday at 314-380-7774. And they have resources available at thesquish.org. And you can reach out to any of us here or comment on any of our posts if you need someone to type those resources out for you. We thank you so much for going on this journey with us, and we hope you enjoy our reading of The Craft. And I'm realizing that usually this is the point that someone cues me to talk. So, we open on the fade up of an aerial shot, several thousand feet above Los Angeles. The afternoon sun streaks through layers of smog and haze. Ethereal music plays. A word is handwritten across the screen. Strange. It dissolves away. Another word, afraid. And another one, magic. An extreme close up of a beautiful young face, Sarah, 17 years old. The delicate curves of her features, her Botticelli hair, her creamy skin, they don't hide a pervasive sadness.
Something strange is going to happen here. I can't tell if I'm afraid or not. Nervous? I wish I could snap my fingers like magic. It'll be a month from now. A year.
We see the interior of a plane. Sarah sits next to the window, writing in a diary. Her father, Roger Bailey, and her stepmom, Jenny, are beside her, getting ready for landing. Sarah looks out the window. We see an aerial shot of the plane entering the frame below us, banking left and moving down into the murk. We cut to the airport. There's confusion. Dozens of passengers, sky cabs, all manner of people swarm around Sarah, her father, and Jenny as the three try to find a taxi. We see Sarah in the cab, ignoring her parents' chatter and lying back staring out the window. She's listless, mesmerized by the city as it glides by. We see various angles out the window. On a street corner, a woman screams to high hell at her kids, little ones, who hold her hands, numbed by her raging. In a center divider, an old Datsun has been neatly compressed into one third its original size by a huge delivery truck. Police and paramedics are all around. Two bodies lie underneath blood soaked white cloth covers. Onlookers gape. Someone is crying hysterically. In the next line, a jacked down, customized, white on white BMW cruises by. One of the darkly tinted windows is rolled down. A slumped down man with a shaved head and wraparound glasses leers at us. On a sidewalk, a towering, psychotic, homeless man with rotting dreadlocks holds a sign aloft. December 31, 1999 will be the end. Prepare. We see outside Glendale. Old Los Angeles, the cab takes a turn up a hilly street. And now we see the house. It's a hodgepodge of styles. Rustic lodge turned 70s party palace. Now it's painted an odd brown, overgrown with what is that word? Okay, with bouginess, we'll say that. I don't know. With something. Eucalyptus trees creak in the breeze, but mostly it's isolated. There doesn't seem to be a single house anywhere nearby. Roger pays the cab.
It reminds me of my parents' place in the Adirondacks. It was a great deal. Some actress in the 20s built it as a hunting lodge. I love being away from the city noise.
A helicopter buzzes overhead, and they look up. We see the living room. It's huge, with wood beam ceilings, a stuccoed over stone fireplace. All of the Bailey's possessions are stacked in the middle of the floor, draped with furniture pads.
I told them not to put everything in one place.
Jenny touches a Mexican light fixture.
It's certainly got personality.
Sarah walks into the kitchen, painted lacquer red, with Japanese lanterns and shoji screens.
Yeah, multiple personality disorder.
We see Sarah's bedroom. The room is a hitherto unachieved shade of cadmium yellow. Sarah comes in, sees at it, and sighs. She opens a double-doored closet, but it only leads outside with a several-story drop and no railing and no balcony. Roger and Jenny come in, see the doorway to nowhere.
That's not exactly to code. It's going to take some fixing up, but my nesting instinct is raging. What do you think?
It's fine. Whatever. Go for my surprise nut cake.
She walks out of the room. Jenny turns to Roger.
Stop worrying. She'll be okay.
Her remark annoys him. Inside the living room, we see Sarah rummaging around in the huge pile of stuff. Behind her, the setting sun streams through the front door. A figure is moving up the front steps, completely silhouetted. Behind Sarah, a shadow of a man moves up the far wall, standing in the doorway. The shadow holds up a snake. In one instant,
"Welcome to the end of the road."
Sarah turns and sees a dirty vagrant with hollow eyes, smiling, with a snake in his hand. Sarah shifts into another mode. We see the vagrant's point of view of Sarah. Something weird is happening. Bright light starts to emanate from behind Sarah, and her face starts to change. Startled, the vagrant drops the snake, stepping back. The snake wriggles towards Sarah. She scrambles away, knocking over a chair. Roger runs down the stairs.
Sarah?
Roger sees the man, picks up a fireplace poker, and charges at him.
Get the fuck out of here.
The man jogs back, confused. Roger slams the door, breathing.
Sarah, are you all right?
Yeah,
Through a window, we see the vagrant running away up the hillside.
Scurry chick, scurry chick.
We angle to the snake slithering across Roger's foot. He raises the poker and slams it down with a fleshy plonk. Inside Sarah's room later that night, we see Sarah sitting on a mattress, which has been made for bed. She eats Chinese food from a container. Roger stands in her doorway.
The realtor said he's just a weird guy that lives in Griffith Park, but he's never hurt anybody. You're not going to be spending any time here by yourself. Jenny or I will always be around.
I didn't say anything.
I just want peace and quiet for you, like the doctor said. Maybe we should move.
No, it's fine.
Okay, all right.
Roger goes. We angle onto an old black and white photo of Sarah's mother in a garden. Sarah takes the photo from a packing carton, touching the glass. We see Sarah's room late that night. Sarah lies there, eyes open. Outside the door to nowhere, it's very dark. A breeze rustles the trees. We hear the clock ticking. An alarm goes off. A hand reaches for it. Interior of a bedroom the next morning. This is a different bedroom. Fully furnished, very subdued. A teenage girl is getting out of bed. Bonnie Stewart, somber, pale, covered in a long sleeve nightgown. She puts up her hair in a ponytail while she gets her bearings. We cut to her closet. Bonnie pulls out a gray Catholic school uniform. She stops and looks in her full-length closet mirror. She slips her nightgown off. We are looking over her shoulder, but we see just enough of some very extensive reddish scarring across her shoulders, chest, and arms. Something awful happened to her. Bonnie looks into her own eyes and doesn't like what she sees.
Bonnie, are you up?
Yeah.
We go to a kitchen in Hancock Park. An attractive, well-coiffed mother is just finishing a pan of scrambled eggs in her very upscale kitchen. She moves to the tastefully decorated breakfast nook, which contains an extremely handsome family father, brothers, sisters, and Rochelle Mack, 16, model pretty. She almost makes her familiar gray Catholic school uniform look glamorous. Rochelle scoops up some scrambled eggs, her second helping, and wolfs them down. Rochelle's mother watches this carefully.
Son, you can get the verbal up. Stanford puts a lot of weight on those scores.
Yes, sir.
Rochelle, how's your half gainer coming in practice, honey?
Good, I guess.
That sounds good. I guess.
Rochelle gets up to leave the table.
Excuse me.
Where are you going?
To get my books. Is that all right?
An ongoing tension between them. Inside Rochelle's bathroom, we see her crouching over the toilet, an empty package of plain donuts lying nearby. She wipes her mouth, flushes the toilet. A knock on the door.
Rochelle, you're going to miss your ride.
Rochelle very carefully and silently folds up the donut wrapper and puts it in her book bag. She picks up stray crumbs as she goes to the door.
Rochelle.
We cut to the interior hallway of a trailer home. Nancy Downs comes out of the bathroom. She wears the same uniform as the others, but with a white trash vibe. Bleach blonde hair, too much makeup, and an ankle tattoo. Nancy is face to face with Ray, paunchy, unshaven, in a Roto-Rooter coveralls. As the two maneuver past each other in the tiny hallway, Ray looks down her shirt.
Did I ever tell you I have a thing for girls in Catholic school uniforms?
Nancy scratches her cheek while giving him the finger.
Yeah, Ray, but I love hearing it again every morning.
He laughs a smoker's laugh, which turns into a smoker's cough, and then he lights up. Inside a tiny master bedroom, we see Nancy's mother, Grace, is out cold on the bed amidst a wine bottle, an overturned ashtray, a TV guide.
Mom.
No response. Nancy goes to the purse on the bedside table, opens the wallet. A few singles, coins. Nancy takes it all. We see Nancy step outside the dilapidated trailer set in the backyard of an even more dilapidated old bungalow. We cut to the Silver Lake bus stop. Nancy scans for a seat amid a sea of women, all chattering on. Nancy sits in back. Across the aisle are two ninth-grade boys in school uniforms. They whisper to each other when they see Nancy. One of them starts miming a blowjob. Nancy turns.
If you don't stop, I'll rip your fucking testicles off.
The boys are afraid, as they should be. We cut to the exterior of St. Bernard's Academy that morning. Buses and cars deposit swarms of uniformed students. The school has a fading elegance. Graceful stuccoed buildings, cracked, patched, and tinged with graffiti. Inside the hallway, Chris Hooker, Trey Hantham, Mitt Rogers, and a handful of other jocks hang by the water fountain, perched on either side of the hall. A spindly-looking lower-class boy has to walk through them. Trey and Mitt merely glance at the boy. This is enough to make him sprint off.
Oh, look, it's the reigning Miss Trailer Trash USA, the anorexic freakazoid, and Freddy Krueger's monster bride.
Bonnie, Rochelle, and Nancy are approaching. The boys fall silent as they pass. Trey coughs artfully, spitting out the word scumfuck or fuck me or blowjob. Other boys follow suit, except Chris, who seems annoyed.
Watch the fucking language, you guys.
Nancy glares at Chris, something between them.
So many men, so little ammunition.
Down the hallway, once they reach their lockers, Bonnie pulls out a strange paperback.
The almanac says today will bring an arrival of something. A wholeness, and with it, a new balance between north, south, east, and west, earth, air, fire, and water. Maybe it's a four.
Aren't we good enough?
Four would make a ring.
Look, there's our fourth.
We angle to a huge, rather macho-looking, uniformed female security guard. The girls laugh. We cut to the inside of a French class. Bonnie sits, trying her best to avoid the gaze of Monsieur. We never figured out this name. Monsieur Thibault, the rakish, 40-ish French teacher. He speaks only in French and is subtitled.
Bonjour, classe. J'espère que vous aviez un bon week-end. Monsieur Roger, votre week-end s'est-il bien passé?
Très bien, monsieur.
Ah, qu'est-ce que vous avez fait dans le week-end? Vous allez à la plage? Un concert du rock? Vous avez traqué les femmes? Cherché les femmes? Les femmes?
The pot makes an hourglass shape in the air.
You mean, did I get any surprise nutcake?
The class laughs. The teacher is not amused.
En français, Monsieur Roger.
Oui, beaucoup de surprise nutcake, monsieur Tippett.
Like hell you did, you pig, couchon.
She says in perfect French. Heads turn. Zippo smiles.
Ah bien, notre nouvelle élève, Mademoiselle Bailly. Votre français est formidable. Vous avez vécu en France ou au Canada?
No, but I went to a school where they did not allow Cro-Magnon men into the classroom.
The teacher is impressed. We angle to Bonnie, who stares at Sarah.
Jesus, you know in LA we should be learning Mexican anyway.
Then why are you taking French?
Because I want to be near you, fucking bitch.
The boys laugh, except for Chris.
Monsieur Roger, ça suffit. Très bien. Mademoiselle Martin?
He keeps talking in French, but it fades away as we move in on Sarah. She's watching something. Up ahead, Bonnie takes a pencil and stands it on its lead point, balancing it with her index finger. She stares at the pencil and concentrates. She takes her finger away, and the pencil stays standing. Sarah watches, mesmerized. Bonnie turns to Sarah, and the pencil falls. Bonnie's expressionless stare shoots through Sarah. We cut to the inside of a biology lab. Class hasn't started yet. Nancy and Rochelle are at a rear lab table.
That fucking Laura Lizzie.
We angle to Laura Lizzie, a muscular blonde swimmer, joking with her lab group.
What about her?
Last Friday, I couldn't find my clothes. They were floating in the pool. My mother had to drive me home in my bathing suit.
Why didn't you say anything?
I'd quit the team, but my dad would have a brain hemorrhage.
Bonnie rushes in, excited.
She's here.
Who?
Someone to be the fourth. I know she's the one.
Shut up.
I'm serious. She's in here.
Sarah wanders in, confused. She talks to a teacher up front who directs her to take a seat. Sarah comes to the girls.
Can I sit here?
Frankly, honey, we'd prefer if you did not.
Sarah walks off.
No, you can have it.
Too late. She's already at another table.
Happy now.
She's a freak.
And she'll fit right in.
Uh-oh, I think my eyes are stuck.
We cut to the exterior of the Commons. Sarah is eating lunch by herself when she notices Rochelle, Bonnie, and Nancy across the way, staring at her. Someone sits down at her table. It's Chris Hooker from French class.
Sarah, right? Hi. I'd like to apologize for those guys. Trey and Mitt from French, the Cro-Magnon men. I'm Chris.
He sits.
So many people have been rude. It's hard to keep track.
Who else?
Don't stare. Check out 4 o'clock.
Chris very artfully yawns and stretches, turning his head to see the girls.
Oh, shit. It's fear, loathing, and pestilence. Whatever you do, stay away from them.
We see the girls, and Bonnie is watching closely.
They're talking about us. I can tell.
Chris sneaks a nervous look at Bonnie.
He's telling her about me. The scars.
Nancy's hand goes to Bonnie's shoulder. We cut back to Chris and Sarah.
She's got these burn scars all over her body. I haven't seen them, but I know people who have. Anyway, people say some even scarier shit about them.
What?
They're witches.
Really?
No, don't think so. They just have that bitchy, witchy Stevie Nicks thing happening.
He touches her hair.
What are you doing?
He buries his face in it and sniffs. She tries to pull away.
I have a hair fetish. You use Pantene.
Getting weirder.
That is repulsive but impressive.
What are you doing after school?
Not you. Nothing, I guess.
Really, I'm busy.
Annoyed, she finally swats him out of her hair.
I have football practice.
Let me guess. Quarterback?
Chris smiles his shit-eating grin and gets up.
You could come and watch. A lot of the girls do, because I'm so hot.
No, thanks. I just remembered I've got this appointment for a root canal, and I'm like really looking forward to it.
I think you're gonna be there, because I'm a cocky dick.
Think again. You are a dick.
He wanders off, taking some French fries from a spindly freshman, smiling back. We cut to the exterior of the football field. Several cars are parked next to the field, with several girlfriends sitting inside, eating, trying to do homework, but mostly watching their boys doing scrimmages. We angle behind some trees and spy Sarah, doing her best not to be seen. She scans for Chris on the field.
Looking for something?
Sarah turns. Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle are right there.
No.
Some of these football dicks make their girlfriends come and watch them practice as if it's interesting.
Really?
Like your best friend, Chris Hooker.
He's a jerk.
He hates us.
Why?
Because we're not standing in line for permission to lick the sweat off his fat butt.
The girls laugh, even Sarah a little.
Nancy's sorry about what happened in biology. We want you to sit with us.
Nancy?
She's Nancy. I'm Raquel, and that's Bonnie.
Hi,
We know who you are. Do you want to go to the mall with us?
I have to get home. My dad.
Come on, it's a really cool mall and a really unique because there's a Gap and a Benton and a Mrs. Fields cookie and a Brookstone, so it's like different from all the other malls.
Or you could just stay and watch Chris.
I'm not watching Chris.
So let's go already.
They start walking off. Sarah thinks for a second, then follows.
What's today's color?
Red.
What's red?
Everything we steal today has to be red.
We cut to a close-up. The snake slithers at us. Sarah lurches away. We cut to the interior of a pet store. The girls watch the snake. Rochelle wears a bright red beret. Nancy, red high tops.
Not a snake fan.
Nancy leads them out of the pet store. We cut to the inside of a clothing boutique. They're browsing.
What does your father do?
Retail consultant for Holland Ross. You ever take one of those?
It's a little conservative for me.
Bonnie twists a new red scarf around her neck. Sarah looks around, nervous. A bitchy salesman is eyeing them.
You know, everything in nature steals. Big animals take from little ones.
Voice blows. Let's make like Tom and Cruise.
Let's make like Hemingway and Book.
Let's make like Smuckers and jam.
They look at Sarah.
Let's make like a baby and head out.
The girls laugh, moving to the door. Something is
Real
happening.
sorry. Young lady, that scarf.
They all make a beeline for the exit, except Sarah, who stands right in front of the salesman. She touches his hand.
Excuse me?
From the salesman's point of view, Sarah is looking straight at him. Her eyes are riveting. Everything behind her is brightening, fading to a shimmering white until it melts down. Sarah's shape is darkening into shadow, dissipating.
Excuse me.
Behind Sarah's back, Nancy waves the girls away. They run. Back in the vision, Sarah's shape thins and twists into a wire hanger. It falls with a clang. Everything snaps back to normal. The salesman bends over, dumbstruck, to pick up a wire hanger. Sarah stands over them, holding a shirt.
Excuse me. Do you have this in a medium?
I
The salesman rubs his temples and sits down on the floor.
oh man. I've just got to cut back on the NutraSweet. I know that's what it is. I just read an article. I'm sorry. You were asking.
Never mind.
We cut to the outside of the mall. The three girls wait just outside the main entrance as Sarah comes out.
What did you do to that guy?
Nothing.
I think we should take Sarah to the candle shop.
Not really into candles.
Bonnie and Rochelle give a look to Nancy.
You'll like these.
We cut to the outside of Silver Lake. Rochelle's beret, Nancy's high tops, and Bonnie's scarf. Together with Sarah, they march through a graffiti-splattered part of town.
Why did you move to down to LA?
A long silence.
I killed myself. I mean, I tried to. People found out. My dad couldn't handle it. He got a transfer.
Oh.
Sarah walks ahead, and the girls all look at each other. Inside a candle shop. This place is dark, Catholic, and decrepit. The proprietor, an ethereal Latina with a lined face named Lirio, eyes the girls warily. Sarah browses the occult paraphernalia. Rochelle comes over and hands Sarah a book.
I have a diary.
This is better. You put spells and power thoughts in it. Then don't let anyone read it, ever. Except maybe us.
You guys are all into this?
Sort of.
Rochelle slips some incense into her pocket and wanders off. Nancy approaches a painting surrounded by candles and mirrors. The painting is of a woman, probably a witch, enveloped in electric light, deep in the throes of ecstatic pain or pleasure. A small plaque below reads, Invocation of the Spirit. Bonnie walks up.
I want to see God.
That's nice, Nancy.
The girls stare at the painting. With Sarah, she continues to browse. Books, medallions. She picks up a boxed set of candles, red, black, and white. She smells them. Just then, a middle-aged couple enters the shop. They nod to Lirio, then disappear behind a black curtain in the back of the store. Sarah is curious. She approaches the curtain. Suddenly, a wrinkled hand stops her.
That's not for you.
Sorry.
Lirio sees an old ring on Sarah's hand.
A beautiful ring. It was your mother's.
Yes.
Lirio looks at the box of candles, the book.
You going to pay for those?
Sarah nods.
Not like your friends.
They go to the counter. Sarah pays.
You know how to use candles?
You light the wick?
More than that. Red is for love. Black is. Here, take this. Read it.
Lirio gives her a small book covered in Old English script and engraving.
I've never read any books about, I just kind of feel it.
Did someone teach you, like your mother?
No, she's dead.
You're a natural witch, self-taught. Your powers come from within.
Lirio touches Sarah's hand, the ring, nodding, and giving Sarah a creepy smile.
Sarah, come on.
Sarah goes to the girls. Outside the candle shop, we see them trudging off.
I can't believe you paid. That's so embarrassing.
Outside the Bailey house, we see Sarah trudging up the driveway. It's dark and the hills are quiet. In the front hallway, Sarah's father and Jenny are sitting in the dining room looking very agitated. When Sarah comes in, he jumps up.
Where the hell have you been?
Just hang out with some friends from school.
It's 7 o'clock in the evening. We were this far away from calling the police.
Relax. I'm not dead.
This stops him cold. Sarah runs upstairs. Inside the bedroom that night, Sarah has passed out on her bed, still in her clothes. She's lit a dozen or so of the candles from the store. The breeze from the open doorway to nowhere lightly tosses the flames to and fro. Sarah breathes heavily while she sleeps. The sound of her breath is growing deeper, cavernous, like some huge beast, and it syncs with the breeze from the window. The candles are blowing out and relighting with each breeze, with each breath. And suddenly, the phone rings. Sarah dives for it, and the breeze stops.
Hello?
What are you wearing?
Who is this? Oh,
I need I need a mental picture. Otherwise, I won't be able to get my rocks off. This is right. This is 976 HOTT, right?
you're sick. How'd you get my number?
Inflammation. I looked for you on the field.
I told you. Root canal.
This Friday, after practice, a real date. I'll buy you dinner and you'll give me sex.
You're a pervert.
I'll take that as a yes. Later.
Click.
Hello?
She lies back, slightly annoyed, but rather more excited. We cut to the outside of the Ambassador Hotel rooftop. Sarah and Chris lie beneath the dilapidated neon Ambassador Hotel sign. Chris kisses her rapaciously, bending her body around his, stroking her everywhere. His mouth goes down her chest as he opens buttons on her uniform blouse. Sarah is not emotionally engaged. She watches a smog-hued sunset. Just then, Trey and Laura Lizzie round a corner, hand in hand. Sarah smiles at them, embarrassed.
It was nice to meet you, Sarah.
Bye, Laura.
We'll catch you later, bro.
Peace.
Laura and Trey descend a ladder. Chris dives back into Sarah. He starts unbuttoning his pants and pushing her down.
Wait, I'm just not, I don't want to do this.
Chris dives away from her, panting, and he catches his breath.
I mean, it's cool. We can just, hang like my dick.
He stuffs something back in his pants and zips up. He puts his arm around her, gives her a polite peck on the cheek, and checks out the sunset.
Thanks.
No, thank you.
Awkward. We cut to the inside of the biology lab the next day. The teacher is lecturing. Sarah and the girls whisper.
Do you know what they're saying about you? About what happened at the ambassador with Chris?
What?
That you slept with him.
But I didn't. I should talk to him.
Before you talk to Chris, you should probably know the whole story. Maybe he's just trying to save face or something, but he's also saying you weren't very good.
What?
Something about you being too big.
Sarah is mortified. She turns around. Laura, Lizzie, and her lab group look away, avoiding Sarah, but one of them nudges Laura and they all laugh.
Nancy used to go out with Chris, didn't you, Nancy?
Rochelle,
And he said even worse stuff about you.
fuck off, you barf machine.
Inside the hallway, Sarah is walking toward her locker when she sees Chris, Trey, Mitt, and the other jocks in their formation on either side of the hallway. She waves, then decides to keep going. Chris won't look at her as she passes. Trey coughs out a "ho bag." Mitt coughs out a used up hole. Sarah just keeps going. Inside the kitchen that night, Roger, Jenny, and Sarah sit around the kitchen table, eating dinner in silence. Roger's about to say something to Sarah, but he's not sure how to form his thoughts into words. Sarah looks at him.
What? Why don't you just say it? You ever just say what it is?
Roger gives up. Sarah shakes her head and they eat in silence. Back in the kitchen later, Sarah's washing dishes. Jenny comes in with dirty plates.
He worries.
Tell him not to
Inside
bother.
Sarah's Sorry. Inside Sarah's bedroom at night, Sarah lies on her bed, eyes red from crying. She looks wan, empty. She gets up and locks her door. She goes to her desk and opens a drawer. Inside, amidst pencils and pens, an X-Acto knife. She picks it up and goes into the bathroom. She goes to the mirror and cuts open a vein on each wrist with the knife. Blood drips down her onto the white tile floor. She reaches for a glass and fills it with water from the tap. A little blood drips in too. She drinks the pinkish water. She wavers and the glass drops. Smash. Water, blood, and shards of glass on the floor, all around her feet. Blood still drips down her hands off the tips of her fingers. She looks in the mirror and she's pale. She falls to the floor in a pool of red. An angle, there's knocking on the bathroom door.
Sarah, why did you lock the door? Sarah!
Pounding. The door rattles. Sarah wants to move to get help, but she's frozen. She tries to speak. She tries to move her arms, but nothing. The door bows in with an attempt to break it down. With wham. Then it's quiet. No one's trying to help. We close in tight on Sarah's face. She's crawling to the door. Her body is like lead. Gradually, we pull back to reveal that she's on her bed. There's no blood. She rubs her wrists. They're normal, but scarred. She rolls over onto her back, burying her face in her arms. There's a distant knock at the front door. Voices. Sarah gets up and peeks out. We angle down the stairs, and Roger is talking to Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle.
He didn't tell you that we were all going to the movies?
Frankly, no. I think she's asleep.
Well, tell her the girls came by.
I certainly will. Good night.
The girls start walking out. Sarah watches them go for a beat, and then
Wait,
the girls hear her and turn back, see her at the top of the stairs.
sorry, you guys. I forgot. Give me a minute.
Sarah runs to her closet. The interior of a Mercedes station wagon. Rochelle's glacial mother drives. Silence. Nancy makes a lewd gesture by slipping her tongue through her fingers. Bonnie and Rochelle giggle. Outside the Cineplex, we see a green hat, green Keds, green t-shirt, and green Swatch watch pile out of the car. Rochelle waves goodbye, and they march up to the box office as the car drives off.
What are we seeing?
The girls lead.
No.
We froze.
Oh no, the narrator froze.
Rosie's.
I guess I can take over till they pop back in. So the girls lead Sarah away
we're
down
back.
the
We're back.
street.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
we got it. Cool.
Where am I?
Like-
Sarah's about to say, "Where are you going?"
Cool.
Where are you going?
We cut to a Hollywood side street. Dark and seedy, abandoned cars and empty lots.
Straight ahead and keep up.
Sarah braces as they approach. Outside Hollywood Boulevard, the girls parade stalwart through the mass psychosis. Sarah steals glimpses from the corner of her eye. Beggars, pimps, runaways, dealers, noise, screaming, sirens, laughter. With their game faces, the girls pass unnoticed. A street woman shuffles by, clutching a dirty, crying baby.
Please, my baby needs food.
Sarah stops, heartbroken.
Sarah, come on.
The girls keep walking, and the street woman notices Sarah.
Not for me, for my baby.
Suddenly, Sarah has become a target. Everyone is looking at her. Someone jostles her. A pimp turns around, scoping her out.
Honey, I like your style.
He's blocking her way, and she looks for the girls.
You guys.
But they're gone. From down the boulevard, a weird street preacher spies Sarah.
Jezebel! Hold on, Jezebel! Jesus is coming. Here comes Jesus.
She turns and runs, and hits smack dab into a dirty vagrant. He is familiar.
I know you. I know where you live.
Sarah recognizes him. He was the one in the doorway with the snake. He holds her arm.
At the end of the road.
Sarah screams and pulls away, running straight into the street. A car honks. Another screeches to a halt right at Sarah's feet.
We don't have a driver, but you fucking idiot.
An angle. The vagrant is coming after her into the lanes of traffic. The girls have noticed where Sarah is. They see the vagrant. Very quick. Bonnie, Rochelle, and Nancy each thinking something. They're cool. Sarah looks at the vagrant, thinking the same thing. A speeding sport truck with monster wheels catches the vagrant. His legs get caught under the wheels. He screams as his legs are crushed. People yelling. A hand comes out of nowhere and grabs a dumbstruck Sarah. It's Bonnie.
Why didn't you keep up like I said?
Motorcycle cops descend on the scene. Pandemonium.
Let's get out of here.
We cut to the outside of a park. The four girls sprawl on the grass in the dark. We only catch glimpses of their faces when the light of distant headlights passes over them. The wind is rustling through the trees.
It was weird. I thought maybe he'll get hit. That would stop him. And then
It's not the same thing.
Me too.
I guess we all did.
He was coming after you. He deserved it.
did we make it happen?
Maybe we did. Maybe Noah did. No way to be sure.
It's Manon.
Whatever.
What's that? God?
Man invented God. This is older than that. She's the trees, the rocks, the ground, everything.
Nature.
It's nature. It's everything.
If God and the devil were playing football, Mano would be the field or the stadium.
Or maybe God created Earth and left him in charge. Actually, we're not sure.
Do you think it's a him or a her?
It's kind of non-binary, I guess.
Stuff like tonight happened to you a lot.
Sarah nods quietly.
Where did you learn it?
It was always there. I just had to find it. I don't know.
A natural witch.
My mother was a witch. She died when I was born.
Everything we know is from books and stuff.
Guess we finally found our fourth.
So what can you do? Can you really do things like anything you want?
No.
One time we chanted all night over an algebra test. The next day we all got the same grade.
Really?
3 Fs. We should have studied.
They laugh.
Have you ever heard of invoking the spirit?
No.
It's when you ask him to come, Mano, and he just fills you. He makes everything right, and he takes what's wrong with your life and makes it right.
Sarah turns to face the breeze.
Nothing makes everything all right.
A blue sky. Rochelle steps up in a bathing suit. We see the school pool the next day. The whole diving team, including Laura, Lizzie, and her friends, as well as several coaches, are watching. Rochelle puts her shoulders back, balances, and concentrates. She bounces up and springs out.
Shark! Oh, wait. Never mind.
Rochelle is thrown. Her body contorts, and wham! From underwater, we see a belly flop. The coach winces. Laura and her friends clap politely.
Superb. Absolutely superb.
Rochelle struggles to the surface. Inside the locker room, we see Laura and her friends are just getting dressed when Rochelle nears, wrapped in a towel.
Why are you doing this to me, Laura?
Does anybody smell that?
I just want to know why.
Because you dive like shit and you smell like shit, okay?
Laura and her friends walk off. By Rochelle's locker, we see her opening the door and sighing.
Where are my clothes?
Inside the coach's office, we see Rochelle wrapped in a man's bathrobe talking with the coach.
How do I know Laura took your clothes?
She admitted it.
Listen, honey, if you put half as much energy into arching your back as you do into this thing with Laura, you'd be a whole hell of a lot better off. To be perfectly honest, if your father wasn't on the board, you wouldn't even be on the team.
Rochelle stands there. Another coach comes in.
We found your clothes, Rochelle. They weren't in the pool.
Where were they?
Looking into the boys' locker room, Rochelle stands there, numb, as a janitor fishes her clothes out of a urinal with a rake. A lunky football player takes a leak in the background.
Want me to rinse them off or you want them like this?
Something clicks in Rochelle. We cut to the hallway. Laura and her friends are walking along, talking and laughing. Sarah comes toward them. She bisects Laura's group, physically brushing up against Laura. Her fingers grab several strands of hair and yank.
Ow! You pulled my hair out.
Sorry. Must have gotten caught on my ring.
Stupid fucking idiot.
They walk off. Sarah smiles, clutching the hair. Inside Sarah's room, all the girls are staying over. The Home Shopping Network drones on while Bonnie is busy braiding Laura's hair into the back of her shelves. She lights a candle, whispering something.
If Laura leaves you alone starting now, nothing will happen. Nothing good.
Fat chance.
Nancy is cutting surprise nutcake into pieces, pouring wine into a cup on a tray. She passes it to Rochelle, who is on her right. Rochelle drinks. Sarah takes the tray.
Do you think the ancients used fat-free lemon twist for their cakes and wine ceremony?
Nancy sips the wine, eats a piece of cake.
I thought you weren't supposed to.
Rochelle,
That's what she said. If she has one, she'll just have another.
I had an alcohol problem.
And cocaine too, right? And crack and cough medicine and
Rochelle, shut the fuck up. Jesus.
Bonnie picks up the black and white photo of Sarah's mother.
who's this?
My biological mother.
She looks just like you.
Inside the cafeteria, a couple of tables away, Chris, Trey, Mitt, and the other jocks are shooting the shit. Chris's back is to us.
Stinky, flabby, stretched out, smelly, crusty, used up, dried out. Did I say smelly already?
Twice.
Smelly, scabby, infested, infected, surprise nutcake.
The guys chuckle. Mitt sees something and looks really embarrassed.
Chris, there she is.
Shut the fuck up.
He turns.
Oh shit. Hi, Sarah.
Sarah, sitting with Rochelle, has just heard all of this. The boys are laughing, and flash, a camera snaps off. We cut to the hallway, where Bonnie stands in front of the boys' bathroom with the camera as Chris comes out.
What's the deal?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were somebody else.
What is Keanu Reeves hanging out in our bathroom?
We cut to the interior of Bonnie's room. Sarah has her little spell book. Rochelle's cutting the picture of Chris into a small pentagon.
Chris Hooker is trying to ruin my life. He lies about me. He humiliates me in front of people. Manon, I ask that Chris Hooker feel the same pain that I feel, measure for measure. Please do what is fair, whatever it is. I mean, don't pull his limbs off his body or anything like that. On second thought, you can if you want to.
Rochelle and Nancy laugh. Rochelle pastes the picture of Chris into the book upside down. Nancy holds out a red candle and drips wax around the edges. She has a handful of red rose petals.
Press these into the wax before it cools.
I've never done this kind of spell. I don't know if it'll work.
We'll make it work.
I want to ask something too. I want to be like I was before. I'm sick of being ugly.
She runs her hands over her skin.
You're not ugly.
It doesn't matter what people think.
Bullshit.
Beauty is a trap. Men use it to imprison women. Real beauty is internal.
Easy for you to say. I hate the way. Did you know my name means pretty? Like, it's a joke.
Why do you want to change the way you look, Bonnie?
For me. I want it for me. For when I look in the mirror.
I guess that's different.
To getting what you want.
Nancy raises her cigarette and takes a drag. We cut to outside Rochelle's room. Nancy, Bonnie, and Sarah are sprawled on Rochelle's floor, eating Snackwells. She comes in with 2 containers, handing one to Sarah and Bonnie.
Make sure the oil's not too hot.
Sarah sticks her fingers inside the mixture of oil and herbs.
It's fine. The rosemary smell is nice. Where's the Tennessee pennyroyal?
Rochelle hands them to her.
I told my mom we were making surprise nut cake. She was like, "That's nice, dear."
Turn off the lights.
Nancy does. The candles are lit. Bonnie slips her shirt over her head, exposing her back. Sarah dips a cloth in the oil and lightly swabs the scarred area.
Is it looking better?
Sort of. Not really.
We've been doing it for 2 weeks now.
Bonnie looks at her skin. She's sickened and she starts to cry. She pushes Sarah away.
It's not working. Nothing's working. This is stupid.
Bonnie crawls into a corner, covering her scars with her arms, crying. The girls just watch, helpless.
We aren't feeling it enough.
Fuck you. I'm feeling it enough.
We aren't giving. We have to give before we can take.
Nancy nods. We cut to the inside of the bus. The girls step on an empty one behind Sarah while she fumbles with her wallet for the fare.
No credit cards, honey bunch.
Okay, asshole.
He looks over, shocked. He looks into Sarah's eyes and falls quiet. From his point of view, we see behind Sarah, everything is turning white while she turns to shadow. We've seen this before. The driver stares at her until she walks away without paying. He shakes his head, woozy.
Thanks.
Sarah sits with the girls. Nancy leans up to her.
When are you going to teach us that particular trick?
Sarah smiles. We see the outside of a highway, cranking up the hill into the Angeles National Forest. We see the outside of a bus stop in the forest. The bus stops and the girls pile off.
Be
I have
careful of
to
the weirdos.
interrupt reading for a second. My cat needs to go to the vet, so I have to step out.
Oh no. Okay. Are they okay?
Her tail got caught in the door and there's bone sticking out.
Oh
So, in theme of reading, and I hate to do this to folks, but
No,
Sarah
no,
needs
go,
to
go.
rest.
Yeah. Go do that.
I will give Ginger host, and I love you all, and I
All
will
right.
connect with
Keep
you
us
all later.
posted. Yeah, keep us
Yes.
posted.
Best
Bye
of
all.
luck to the yeah. All right. Ginger muted.
I think if we could have Kenna take over for the part of Sarah, that will probably be the least confusing way to continue on. But we're all gonna just wish for the best and hope that the kitty is okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh gosh.
Goodness.
All right. Well, do you want me to start with the after we are the weirdos?
Why don't we go to the bust in the forest day and the girls pile off essentially.
Got
Go
it.
there.
Okay. We cut to the bus stop in the forest. The bus stops and the girls pile off.
Be careful of the weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
He raises an eyebrow. Outside in the woods, we see the girls walk along a path. Intense green. Sunlight flaring off their faces, their hair, off the boughs of trees, off the grass. Buzzing insects, rustling trees, birds. The forest is alive. Nancy walks in front. She starts taking off her shirt. She steps out of her skirt, pulls off her shoes. Bonnie sees Sarah watching Nancy.
Etheric energy is absorbed into the clothing. You have to be naked for rites.
In a meadow, Nancy lies down in some tall grass. The feeling of the earth against her body is ecstatic. Later, outside in the meadow, we see that Sarah has her shirt off, holding it against her front. Bonnie, still fully clothed, rubs a mixture of oil and herbs on Sarah's back and arms. She looks blissfully relaxed. Rochelle reads from her little book. The images and voices dissolve into one another.
It's hard enough walking out on that board with everyone staring and you're just in a bathing suit. But when you're the worst on the team, it's like a bad joke.
We dissolve. Bonnie sensually caresses a huge rock.
I try not to do the binging and purging, but sometimes I can't help it. I wish I didn't feel like there should be less of me.
We dissolve. Nancy reads. Sarah rubs ointment on her feet.
My mom would give me vodka and juice when I was little. She would laugh at me when I was drunk.
We dissolve to Rochelle, sitting on the low bough of a tree, naked.
I love it when you can take something and it makes you feel different. I get addicted to everything. Cigarettes, Diet Coke, sex, everything. But I can't do that anymore because it'll kill me.
Another dissolve. Bonnie brushes a flower across Sarah's cheek.
Now the only high I want is the fire of Mano inside me.
Dissolve. Sarah has her feet in a small stream, naked, her chest pressed against her knees.
I can't remember for about 5 minutes before we hit the wall, but when I came to, there were sparks coming from a huge saw trying to cut me out of the car, and I was on fire.
Dissolve. Nancy floats, perfectly still, face up, in a small pond, the sun glimmering all around her.
I cried because I was going to die. But then something spoke to me, a voice. It was you, Minnow.
She looks up, still shaken by this past event, closes her book. She's the only one still fully clothed, and everyone is looking at her. Slowly, Bonnie unbuttons her blouse, slips it off. She pulls off her skirt. The scar covers more than half her body in jagged strokes across her chest, arms, shoulders, and knees, as if someone had splashed paint on her and swirled it around. She looks incredibly vulnerable.
Bonnie, I think you're beautiful.
Bonnie relaxes, even gives a pained little smile. She gets in the water.
Now it's time for Sarah.
Sarah swallows and picks up her book.
As long as I can remember, I could do it. Wish things, the visions. And I always felt sick, like the world didn't need a freak like me. A mother would have been nice, somebody to teach me it was actually a good thing. Then one day I realized I would rather be dead. But I didn't die. I made it here where I finally belong. It's been a long road, but I finally found these three. Now we make four.
The other girls are moved. Rochelle comes over and kisses her on the cheek. Strange shadows are falling on them. They look up. A giant fluttering of butterflies, hundreds of them, drift overhead. The girls are still. The butterflies descend. They start to rest on Sarah's shoulders, on Bonnie's head, everywhere. A maze looks between them. Bonnie, Rochelle, Nancy, and Sarah are all covered with a thick blanket of butterflies.
He's listening.
They are flushed with awe. An extreme close up of Chris Hooker. He rubs his hands over his face, distressed and distracted. We angle to a page full of questions in French. Chris's pencil starts to write something in French, and then it wanders down the page and writes Sarah in flowery script. He lifts his gaze across past all the students enmeshed in their French test to see Sarah. He just keeps looking at her. Finally, Sarah glances up to find Chris, who smiles his dopey smile at her.
Regardez la page, Monsieur Hooker. Monsieur Hooker!
Bonnie looks at Sarah. They stifle giggles. Outside the school, we see Sarah and Bonnie moving with the crowd toward the chapel. Each is struggling with a large stack of books. Chris catches up with them.
Sarah, how's it hanging?
It's hanging.
The girls keep walking.
Listen, I wanted to talk to you. I said some nasty things. I'd like to apologize. I mean, I'm sorry. So you hate me, right?
Sarah doesn't want to look at Bonnie. She's afraid they'll both bust up laughing.
I really don't think about you that much.
Really? Well, that's harsh. Listen, when you're a guy, and I am, people expect things,
Have you told your friends
What?
that you lied about me?
No, but I'm going to. Like, tomorrow. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go straighten the whole thing out.
Good.
Can I sit with you in mess?
I don't care.
They go into the inside of the chapel. It's full as Sarah, Bonnie, and Chris enter, bow, and make their way up the aisle. Just when they're in front of the whole congregation, Sarah smiles to Bonnie and turns to Chris in full view of everybody.
Could you be a dear and carry these books? I'm about to collapse.
Chris kind of checks out the crowd in the corner of his eye and laughs nervously. He definitely doesn't want to do this, but he can't help himself.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Sarah hands him the stack.
And hers too.
Bonnie's go on top. The girls head for a seat and Chris follows. Everyone has just seen this. In the crowd, we see Trey, Mitt, and the other jocks.
Oh, ain't that sweet?
Chris, can you carry my groin cup to football for me?
Kids start laughing. Everybody. Chris turns bright red, gritting his teeth, but smiling. An angry priest starts shushing people. In the crowd, Rochelle and Nancy see.
Looks like somebody's magic is working. Remember when you did a love spell one time? You rubbed those herbs all over your body and all you got was that gross rash? Who did you do that love spell on?
I don't fucking remember.
It was on Chris. That's right. How funny. You had like the total crush on him.
Nancy steams. Inside the hospital lobby, we cut to Bonnie and her mother, Mrs. Mack, who are waiting nervously. Bonnie has a small suitcase. A young doctor approaches.
Are you ready, Bonnie?
Yeah.
Inside the office, the doctor is going over a lot of paperwork. Bonnie's mother is signing in several places.
I've told you this before, but I want to be really clear. This is a very experimental procedure, and we cannot make any warranties regarding results or side effects. I can tell you unofficially that there is little to no risk. This form of gene therapy is non-invasive. Painful, but non-invasive.
Bonnie looks up sharply at the word painful. An extreme close-up of a robotic needle. The needle is loaded with a clear gel. We see the surgical chamber at night. Bonnie is awake on her stomach. Her mother's holding her hand. Bonnie's scars look especially bad in this cold, bright light. The needle descends into Bonnie's back. An extreme close-up, it hovers a millimeter above the scar tissue.
Hold very still, even though I said this was non-invasive, a huge needle is going to go in your back. But keep breathing. Stay relaxed.
Bonnie breathes. The needle suddenly starts jutting into the skin in rows in rapid fire succession like a sewing machine. Bonnie screams. Inside the locker room, the swim team are all vying for the mirror, fussing with their hair and clothes and chatting. Rochelle walks in.
Rochelle, I have to tell you, I was actually impressed with that last dive today.
Really?
I swear, I think you could have won with that. Didn't I say that, guys?
They all nod and say yes. Rochelle's ready to believe her.
In the cannonball competition.
Everybody laughs. Laura high-fives several of the girls as she turns back to the mirror, combing her long brown mane.
Wait a minute.
Suddenly, Laura's holding a handful of her own hair. The girls notice. Somebody gasps. We angle to the mirror, and there's a 3-inch round patch of scalp where the hair came out.
Oh my God!
Rochelle watches without expression. We cut to the interior of the hospital with nurses scurrying about. Inside Bonnie's hospital room, we see Sarah there with a gift basket from the girls. Outside, it is raining.
Sage for peace, sweet wine for contentment, L for fashion, Snackwells for noshing, and this for beauty.
She hands Bonnie a rose. Bonnie buries her face in her arms.
Every morning I wake up and for a few seconds I think I'm normal and then I remember I can't stop crying.
Don't stop.
It would be so much easier if I could give up.
Bonnie, make it work.
How?
Everything you're feeling, the pain, that will make it happen.
A tear runs down Bonnie's cheek. Sarah instinctively catches it on her finger. She takes a glass and rubs the tear on the bottom of the glass.
What are you doing?
Sarah opens the carafe and pours in some wine. She lights up the sage stick and douses the sage in the wine. It sizzles, turning the liquid dark purple. Sarah dips her fingers in the wine and, pulling back Bonnie's sheets, flicks the liquid all over the bandages. Bonnie closes her eyes.
Feels warm.
Sarah whispers something, continuing to flick the liquid.
It's getting hot. Ow!
Outside the window, there's a gust of wind.
Sarah, it hurts.
Suddenly, the windows fling open, and a gust of wind blows into the room, tossing everything around. We cut to an extreme close-up, with surgical scissors cutting bandages. In the examination room, we see Bonnie, draped in an elaborate surgical shroud, sitting with her mother and several nurses. The doctor pauses.
I want you to remember that we may need to make several passes before we can see results.
Bonnie nods. The doctor cuts the section on Bonnie's back behind her right shoulder where she can't see. He peels back the bandages. Red, flaky skin. A nurse takes a picture with a digital camera. The skin appears on a color-enhanced computer screen where Bonnie can see it.
What is that? Is it better?
The doctor takes a swab and dips it in solution. He wipes away the flaky material. The doctor's face goes blank.
What? What?
Just a minute.
He cuts some more, swabs some more.
What does it look like?
I can't see.
The nurse takes a picture. The image appears on the computer screen. Mrs. Mack looks at it and starts crying. Bonnie, something beautiful happens inside her. We see her back. Underneath a layer of slimy disinfectant and flaky bits, glowing, healthy skin. The doctor runs his hands over Bonnie's back.
I can't believe it. It works.
We cut to the interior of the homeroom. Sarah is huddled with Rochelle and Nancy in the back while a teacher drones on reading an announcement. 30 or so students, still not fully awake.
She was supposed to come today. Have you talked to her?
No.
Nancy looks over at the entrance. Bonnie swings in, wearing a black cape.
Homeroom starts at 8:45 sharp.
Thanks for the info.
Scattered chuckles. As she crosses in front of the whole room, Bonnie nonchalantly drops the cape. Her knee-length plaid uniform skirt has been hiked up to a mini, and she wears a clingy tank top instead of the requisite blouse. But most importantly, her skin, of which we see quite a lot, is flawless. No scars, nothing. Mouths drop, there's whispering. Everyone is staring, especially Trey and Nick.
Where'd she come from?
We cut to the exterior lawn. The girls sit together, admiring Bonnie's new look. The sun glints off them. They're fluid, smiling. Rochelle places a dandelion in Bonnie's hair.
Amazing. Totally amazing.
Sarah brought me through it.
She and Sarah hold hands.
It's weird. I feel powerful and maybe kind of stupid. I guess that goes with being beautiful, right, Rochelle?
What?
They laugh.
You guys.
Sarah nods at something. We angle to Chris, Trey, and Mitt, all clumped together at the edge of the lawn, smiling at them. The girls laugh. A shadow falls over them. It's an administrator.
Miss Stewart, you are out of uniform.
Am I?
We cut to a TV screen, seeing Dr. Bruce Hensel.
That's Watson. I don't know why the color didn't take. Sorry.
A West Side dermatologist is making claims of a very important use of a certain skin production gene can cause significant reduction in scar.
Inside Nancy's trailer home, Nancy and her mother, Grace, are watching TV. Her mother drinks a tumbler full of scotch and ice. She smokes.
That's Bonnie's doctor. He didn't cure her.
Then who did?
Suddenly the lights go out.
God damn it to hell.
Grace gets up and teeters down the hall, scotch in hand, throwing open the door to the primary bedroom where Ray is asleep, still in his plumber's uniform.
Did you pay the power bill, Ray? Nancy's got homework.
Light a fucking candle.
Grace comes over and kicks him. He just lies there. She kicks him again, and this time he grabs her foot, pulling her down onto the bed. The tumbler of scotch falls.
Ray!
He's holding her down, roughly. It looks harsh, but she's familiar with it. He starts to pull his pants down. We cut to the interior of the living room, moving in on Nancy sitting quietly in the darkness, overhearing.
Ray, that hurts me.
I don't care.
Something falls over. Nancy gets up and runs out the door. We cut to the inside of Sarah's bedroom. All four girls. TV, pedicures, and the phone rings next to Rochelle.
Hello? Yeah. It's Chris.
Sarah shakes her head. Bonnie takes the receiver.
Sarah doesn't feel like talking to you.
Bonnie hangs up, and they all laugh, except Nancy, who hangs over the ledge of the doorway to nowhere. Bonnie notices.
Why don't you wish for something?
How can I wish for one thing when everything is wrong?
Be specific.
Nancy stews. The phone rings. Bonnie lifts it up and puts it back down without even interrupting her pedicure.
I'm sick of being poor white trash.
You're not poor white trash.
I'm poor.
She's white.
If it weren't for Catholic charity, I wouldn't even be in school with you guys.
Well, you're not trash. Nobody's trash.
Except Laura Lizzie.
And Chris.
How do you explain the concept of poor white trash to Noah?
I want more.
More is good.
We cut to the exterior of mountains at sunset. The girls are a moving black frieze against the dazzling color of the approaching dusk. They move in circles around a fire, holding smoking smudge sticks aloft. Inside the kitchen, 2 frozen dinners twirl in the microwave oven. Grace is pouring 2 beers. Nancy, in a thin robe, comes out of the bathroom and gets a Diet Coke out of the little fridge. She has to carefully scoot around Ray to avoid brushing up against him. Ray fingers her robe.
I think I can see through that thing.
Nancy swats him. He laughs and coughs.
Jesus, you're supposed to act like a father to that girl.
I ain't her father. Her father's the one that paid you the $50 for a quick bang in the back seat.
Grace slaps him. Ray grabs her arm and flings her down onto the floor.
God fucking damn it, don't you ever hit me!
Ray pulls back with a clenched fist when Nancy lets loose an unearthly scream,
Stop it!
and the microwave oven explodes in a spray of sparks. The lights in the trailer flicker off and on. Ray is puffing with anger. He steps back, sits down, and Grace looks at Nancy.
What the hell was that?
The curtains have caught fire. Smoke everywhere. Grace jumps up, takes a dish towel, and smothers the flames. The alarm starts beeping. Ray tries to stand up, but he winces. He's having trouble breathing. He stumbles to the floor.
Ray?
We cut to see an ambulance. Ray is strapped down with an oxygen mask in his face, delirious, monitoring tabs across his chest, an erratic beat issuing from a machine. The ambulance lurches to and fro as it weaves through traffic. Nancy and Grace sit next to him in between paramedics. Suddenly, the beat jumps faster and stops. The paramedics start yelling to each other, working on him.
What's happening to him?
Nancy stares coldly at Ray. We cut to the inside of a trailer. Grace, in a black dress, sits there with a tumbler full of scotch and ice. Nancy, also in black, looks out the window. The door knocks timidly and is opened by Ida, the neighbor, with an arrangement of flowers.
Oh, Grace, honey, how you doing? They left these on my doorstep by mistake, and there's a man here to see you. If you need anything, just holler.
Ida puts the flowers on a table.
Thanks, Ida.
Up steps gangly young Jeff in a bad suit with a briefcase. Ida lingers by the door, not too discreetly listening in.
Hi, I'm Jeff Yates. I'm from Interstate Insurance. I know this is a difficult time.
Oh no. Jeff would say it's
There we are.
Oh, I can't hear you
Am
now.
I back?
You're back.
You're back now.
Okay,
Start with
sorry.
it is procedure. No, you're good.
It is procedure to ask just a few questions before we can start processing the policy.
He fumbles for a card nervously before he opens his briefcase and papers fall out onto the floor.
I don't understand, Jeff. What policy?
Mr. Saunders had a whole life pension plan through the company, and with benefits of this size, it's standard to...
Of what size?
Well, $175,000.
Outside the door, Ida does a little dance.
Praise Jesus, he shall provide.
Grace sits back, stunned. Nancy can't help it. She smiles. We angle up to a huge neo-deco apartment building outside Wilshire Corridor. Bonnie, Rochelle, and Sarah get off a bus and make their way toward the building. Inside the lobby, there's a doorman and a receptionist behind a huge console. The girls check in. The girls amble through the hallway across the plush carpeting. Nancy opens huge double doors to the inside of an apartment. Spacious. Huge, dramatic windows, marble fireplace, but no furniture, except for a jukebox and a couch made from the rear end of a 57 Chevy.
Cool.
We didn't take anything from the trailer. I grabbed my baby pictures and a Diet Coke, and I was out of there.
Grace is in the kitchen, fixing a drink. Rochelle pours over the jukebox.
Every song on here is by Connie Francis.
Grace totters in, her highball tinkling.
Ever since I was a little girl, I said, all I want out of life is a jukebox that plays nothing but Connie Francis.
Oh, that's nice.
Nancy leads the others into her bedroom. A king-size bed and dozens of shopping bags are filled with new clothes.
Went shopping.
Suddenly, "Who's sorry now?" echoes through the giant space. Through the door, we spy Grace in the dining room archway, deep in the throes of an impassioned lip sync of the song.
What a fucking basket case.
Nancy slams her door closed. She looks straight at Sarah and comes toward her.
Yeah, I think it's time you gave us a little lesson.
We see inside Nancy's bedroom at night. A half-eaten pizza, Haagen-Dazs, cigarettes. The girls crowd around a full-length mirror, which is then laid down sideways to accommodate all of them.
Casting visions is the oldest form of magic for witches. It started with nights around the fire, shadows on the cave walls.
Sarah closes the book.
Never mind about that. Just feel. You feel it. You think about the other person's eyes, not yours. About what's behind them. Don't think about yourself. I know it's difficult, Nancy.
Nancy smiles coldly. Inside Nancy's bedroom a little later, Sarah stares at Nancy's reflection. They lock gazes. Sarah falls into shadow. Behind her, there's a tremendous light, like in the store and on the bus. Her silhouette collapses into a slip of smoke. Then everything goes back to normal.
Wow.
I didn't see it.
Hey there.
You can only do it to one person at a time.
I bet I could do it to all of you.
Sarah scoffs.
Well, you can try it.
They turn to Nancy in the mirror. She closes her eyes, and they wait. Nancy places her hand on Sarah's. Without any light theatrics, Nancy morphs into a male version of herself.
Women, if it weren't for pussy, I'd say kill 'em all.
Rochelle and Bonnie burst into hysterics, knocking the mirror over.
Nancy does it better.
I want to learn.
Sarah, look out.
Behind Sarah is a huge snake about to crawl up Sarah's back. Sarah screams and lurches away. The snake
not
dissolves into nothing.
My bad. We're not supposed to use magic on each other. It's witch law number 1.
Sorry.
Sarah is still shaken.
And Nancy's not sorry.
At all.
Oh, thankfully we've made it to intermission. We're gonna check on Sean and the kitty, and
Right.
let's take maybe a 10 minute. Come back at like 35. Does that sound good to everybody?
Beautiful.
If you're watching live and you've got a minute, feel free to donate, and we will be back soon.
How's all the house stuff going?
You talking and having fun?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, now that we know that the kitty's going to be okay, I feel a
Yeah.
lot better.
Cat, like, it's hard. Like, they are your babies. So
Yeah.
Mr. Ashley has, what is it called? Psychogenic alopecia because of his anxiety. So he overgrooms. So he's got like big patches of fur missing on his stomach and his legs. We're doing everything. He's getting ready to go on anxiety medicine.
Aww.
But they're like, it's really common in cats that were feral for a long time and captured as adults and then fixed as adults. They're very like almost like empathetic and they feel all the stress. And a few of there's been a lot of like change and stress and stuff in the house lately. And yeah, like they're like, he's, we're gonna try the anxiety medicine. None of that like feel away. Like there's stuff that they say works and works for some cats, it doesn't work for others. But you worry about them all the time. And he still plays and eats fine, and we still have playtime and stimulation time, and he still cuddles, but you just miss
Yeah, and they're not
fur.
like kids, because kids can be like, I am in pain. I'm
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
exactly.
Here are my
Right.
symptoms.
Yeah.
Cats are just like, because for like 2 weeks, every so often, one of the cats, we weren't sure which one, was like puking up what seemed to be blood. And we were like, this is worrisome.
Yeah.
We should go to the vet. But then we were like, well, let's try to figure out which one's doing it so they don't both unnecessarily go to the vet. But then then once we started paying attention, it stopped happening.
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened in like 5 days now. So like, are you dead or are you fine?
Yeah. Like, yeah.
I looked up in the internet, and the internet said, well, they're probably dying or they're just really stressed. And we were gone for like a week, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking,
I joined a Facebook group that's called like Pet Vet Corner, that is basically a is this emergency situation or not kind of Facebook group.
Yeah.
And it has made me more paranoid than I ever thought I could be.
I was gonna say, I feel like that would have the opposite effect for me. Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm trying to be very like open and just kind of be like, oh, I'm learning so much so that if I see any of this stuff with my crew, I can identify it, but I might end up muting it because it's just making me paranoid.
and you have like a really diverse household.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't use that for any of the snakes and stuff. Like the exotics have their own issues, and a lot of times whenever like if it's a snake issue and stuff like that, a lot of their things are asymptomatic until it's fatal kind of things.
Yeah.
Shoot.
But at least with the dogs, like I can't have that mindset with the dogs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, as she gets older, I get more and more worried. Like basically, like, are you dying all the time? So
I am with
get
you.
it.
I had a full breakdown about that like 2 weeks ago.
And then it just makes you paranoid about all the rest of your animals. So like Finn, who's the baby, and like a baby, well, he's like 2 now, but still in good health and frolicking, but he gets really rambunctious. And then the other day his like right eye was closed and he's looking at me and I was like, oh my God, what's happening? But he had just like rubbed it too hard against something and like it was fine after like 2 minutes. But it's also, now being here by myself since Robert is at Georgetown at med school and everything, it's like, okay, so like how do I like if I have to take one of the cats to the vet in the middle of the night, like like I couldn't be on that site, Danny. It's like looking up your symptoms and they're like, oh, it might be an allergy or cancer. Like,
Right.
I'm definitely trying to like disconnect as much as I can, and whenever I scroll through certain things, I will literally just like past it so that I don't engage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is helpful that like with all of them, they are vet only posts. So
Good.
if somebody comments on them that's not a vet, then they get booted.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't. So if I do open the comments, I'm actually getting a this is what this could be, not like just a bunch of people going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah.
So that's
Right.
I
So
guess it's
Dad,
good that there's vets in there that are willing to give their time in that way.
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
But I
really
guess it keeps
awesome,
people from flooding the vet ERs. So it's
right?
worth it, I
And
suppose.
it's also like it's financially helpful because
Yeah, vets are
it's
expensive.
yeah, and it for like human things, we have the ability to talk to each other and be like, hey, these are my symptoms. Like, when's the point that I need to see a doctor? But with
Mhm.
like with especially like cats and dogs, you don't know if something could be an emergency or not.
Yeah.
So it feels really like it feels very disingenuous to be like, I can't afford this, so I want to know if it's an emergency.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's so hard to have to say that about something that is like your child.
But
Right.
we all understand that. It's like, you know, it's expensive and you don't want to
Yeah,
spend the $300 at the emergency vet for them to be like, oh, they just ate
right.
something.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
I
stressed.
and
They were mad
I
you were
could
gone, so they're puking everywhere.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
You changed your wet food, so now they're just gonna pee in your shoe.
Or like I locked Gaston out of the I locked the dogs out of the room because they really like to mess with my laundry. And the boys got into a fight and Fitz got a bite on his eyelid.
Oh.
And luckily enough, his former foster dad is a vet at the zoo and was his medical foster before he got with us. So I texted him and was like, "Hey, I'm really sorry to even bring you into this, but I just want to know if I should be freaking out or not." And I got to freak out for a good week, but he was fine, all is well.
That's
So
good.
Dad is the what? How's the baby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like she's degloved at the tip of her tail. So there's just like the
Oof.
skin missing and like the last bone sticking out. She like was normal, was happy-go-lucky. She was making biscuits on my bed when I went up to get her into the crate to go to the vet. Um,
Oh.
Sheila, she was like petting, and then like, why did that feel like bone at the end of your tail? So yeah, I Sheila hasn't. She called ahead. They might divert her to Buffalo, which is like an hour and a half away. I'm hoping for not that.
Right.
But I'm just like, can someone in Rochester look at us? Can please, can we check this out? So yeah, I will keep you all updated. But as of right now, she is on her way and she's seeming fine.
That's good.
Tail
Just
stuff
And
is
we're
so weird. I'm so
Do you
sorry.
have the glove part to,
I
to can it go on?
all I found was fur. So like
Sometimes they eat it.
but there I didn't see any blood. I didn't like I there's just like hair underneath the door. I
oh.
don't.
Well, we're glad that
We'll
she doesn't
find
seem
out.
to be in pain. So yeah.
Yep.
And we're glad to have you back. So
Yes.
I'm sure Ken is a little relieved not to be doing double duty. Yeah.
I really just look weird because like I don't have a chair and I'm in my dungeon of a basement. So like I'm like
You're
twisting,
good.
trying to like make sure I'm reading my parts, and then the color confused me. I didn't take my Adderall today,
Oh.
so I'm super like, huh?
You're good.
Sometimes you just gotta let your goblin brain do whatever it needs to do. Mel and I have those days where we'll just like we have nothing we have to do today, so we are just gonna let our goblin brain do whatever we want. I did so many things today just off of being like, I'm in this room, and oh, you know what? I can't even begin. I made 2 different soups today. Like goblin. It's
Love it.
great.
I am
Well,
absolutely someone. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, James. That's
oh,
not.
you're good. I was gonna go back into the script, but if you wanted to say something.
We are talking, Ginger.
Oh yeah, it's okay. I don't want to like be like, all right, stop it now. So
Are we at intermission? Can I get a keyword
we
search?
yeah, we
Intermission.
came back. So we're
Cool.
right at
Okay.
intermission. Yeah.
I got it. I'm there
So
then. We're there.
yeah, you're good. So yeah, if you've been enjoying so far, obviously you could see that we're all a bunch of animal lovers because we were very distraught about the kitty and wanting that to be okay. And Sean is actually really cool because they often foster, which is really cool. I wish I could foster, but Reggie's kind of a jerk to other animals, but that's okay. But yes, so if you have a moment, please donate to Bevel Area Humane Society if you're enjoying this, and we will continue on.
All right. Oh, that's me. All right, we start in the locker room. Rochelle luxuriates in the hot water, in seeming solitude. She looks down. On the floor, we see a clump of hair, not just stubble, but long strands. She turns off the water and reaches for a towel. We hear whimpering. We follow a trail of hair around a corner. Laura Lizzie is sitting in the corner, wrapped in several towels, another draped across her head. She looks freaked.
It keeps falling out.
She pulls the towel off her head. Underneath is a ravaged dome of scattered hair clumps, bumps, boils, and festering scabs.
I don't understand.
Behind Rochelle, another of Laura's friends sees this.
Laura!
Other girls come, pushing Rochelle back. They gasp at Laura's scalp.
What the fuck did I ever do to deserve this?
Rochelle and Laura lock gazes. A cold exchange. We cut to inside Bonnie's room. The four girls are assembled, channel surfing and smoking. Nancy rolls on top of Rochelle to reach an ashtray.
Ugh.
I'm not that heavy.
Yeah, you're light as a feather, you cow.
She pinches her on the butt, laughing.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Excuse me?
Did you ever play that when you were a kid? Light as a feather, stiff as a board?
No, but it sounds like a guy I dated in the 9th grade.
We cut to Bonnie's room moments later. Nancy, Bonnie, and Sarah are kneeling around Rochelle, who lies on her back, arms folded over, corpse-like. The only light is from the TV, which drones on.
Okay, you just hold out the one finger and you lift. But you have to think she's incredibly light, like she's made out of air.
Her whole body or just her head?
Up yours, bitch.
Children.
Come on, try it.
The three girls stick their index fingers underneath Rochelle and lift.
Light as a feather, stiff as a
As
board.
a board.
Light as a feather, stiff as a
Stiff
board.
as a board.
Light as a feather,
Light as a
stiff as
feather,
a
stiff
board.
as a board.
Light as a feather, stiff
Nothing
as a board.
Stiff as a board.
Ow, my finger's broken.
I thought she was skinny.
My bones are very dense.
Oh, please.
Shh, everyone concentrate.
They try again, this time with more focus.
Light as a feather,
Light as a
stiff
feather,
as a
stiff as a
board.
board.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as
Light as
a
a feather, stiff as a board.
as a board. Light
Danny,
as a
interrupt us.
Suddenly, the TV switches
Dear
to a
God.
test pattern, filling the room with weird purple light. And yes, it was intentional to let it go on that long. Rochelle's eyes are closed. She starts to move upwards, but it's hard to tell how far. From above, Rochelle is drifting towards us. An inch or so, but then more. 6 inches, a foot, 3 feet. Finally, they let her go.
You guys, it isn't working.
She opens her eyes, midair.
Whoa.
Keep concentrating. Don't let yourself fall.
Bonnie is flabbergasted.
This is awesome.
Here, do me.
No thanks.
I mean, lift me up.
Sarah lies down. Nancy and Bonnie stick their fingers underneath.
Light as a feather, stiff as a Jesus.
Sarah's already
Jesus.
lifting up, drifting and wafting like a cloud of smoke.
It's so simple. It's so obvious.
Boo.
Sarah passes Rochelle, who remains at about a 3-foot height, slowly rotating, rotisserie style. Bonnie folds her legs into the lotus position and lays her arms down to meditate. She lifts a few inches up, but remains rigid, legs akimbo. Sarah is bouncing off the ceiling, emotionally and literally.
Come on, Nancy. Don't be a fraidy cat.
Fraidy cat, Fraidy cat.
Nancy glowers and simply pushes against the floor with her right arm. She flies upward.
Show off.
While Bonnie and Rochelle linger down below, Sarah and Nancy bounce around above, playfully shoving and pushing, laughing and shrieking.
Sarah's the big witch on the block today
Why?
because she did this.
We did this.
Jealous, Nancy?
Fuck off, bitch.
Nancy shoves her and Sarah crashes into a hanging light fixture. Everybody laughs.
Cat fight, cat fight.
Oh my God.
Suddenly there's pounding.
Bonnie, what's going on in there? Are you guys getting high?
Suddenly, all of the girls fall. Bonnie onto her butt, still in the lotus position. Rochelle right onto the floor on her belly. Nancy and Sarah through Bonnie's lacy canopy onto opposite edges of her bed, all of them shrieking. In the hallway, we see Bonnie's mother in a bathrobe standing at the door.
Honey, you're waking up the whole house.
Sorry, Mom.
Her mother walks away. Inside Bonnie's room, they wait and listen, wincing with pain.
Bonnie, we broke your bed.
Never mind. I broke my butt.
Inside Bonnie's parents' room, we see Bonnie's mother getting back in bed. Bonnie's father rolls over.
What were they doing?
I don't know, but I hope they aren't getting high.
She turns out the light. We see pavement whizzing by. A bright yellow Mustang convertible slips into frame. Bonnie, Rochelle, Sarah, and Nancy, who is driving, talk and laugh. Bonnie looks more done up. Bigger hair, more makeup. We cut to the outside of a street. They come to an intersection, and a ratty pickup slides in next to them. The driver, a low-budget Romeo. He leers at the girls.
Nick, can you take over the driver part, please?
Hi.
The girls smirk.
Didn't we all meet at a party somewhere?
Yeah, that's right. And your name is Dick. Dick Hole, isn't it?
The girls all laugh.
Bitch.
Yeah, I'm a bitch.
The light turns green and the pickup peels out. Nancy guns it to catch up with him.
We're all bitches.
The driver looks over. From the driver's point of view, as the girl's car slides up next to him, we see Bonnie, Rochelle, Nancy, and Sarah all have the faces of dogs. A Labrador, an Afghan, a Bulldog, and a Dalmatian, respectively. They all bark and wave at him. The driver is bug-eyed.
Ah!
He swerves away and crashes into a parked car. Nancy guns it down the street, laughing with Rochelle and Bonnie. Sarah looks exhilarated but worried.
You really shouldn't do that.
Oh, don't be a party pooper.
I'm just saying it's dangerous.
Party pooper.
Party pooper, party pooper, scooper, super duper, party pooper, scooper.
Inside the front hallway at the Baileys, we see Roger Bailey standing in the doorway with Chris.
You might have to take over as Mr. Bailey as well, please. Well, when do you think she'll be out of the bathtub?
I really couldn't say. She's been known to stay in there for days at a time.
Really?
No.
Oh, well, okay. Then just tell her Chris came by.
I will.
Thank you, sir.
Roger closes the door after him. Sarah peeks out from a doorway.
I'm not sure I like this guy. I mean, I guess he's fine.
Jenny is passing through.
I'm a pervert and I think he's a hunk.
Sarah rolls her eyes. Inside Sarah's bedroom, we see her at night in bed.
Sarah! Sarah!
Sarah gets up and goes to the window.
Why don't you answer your phone?
I really don't want to talk to you, Chris.
Oh, well, I guess that's a good reason. Shit. I think about you a lot,
Chris.
and I'm not sure why. Is it weird to say I love you? Is that weird? I've never said it before. Jesus, never felt it before. It feels so fucking strange. What's happening to me?
The front door opens, and Sarah's father comes out with a broom, holding it forth.
Time to go home, Chris. Go on home.
He starts prodding Chris away.
Okay, Mr. Bailey, I just happen to love your daughter. I'm sorry. It happens. What, like you pooped? Bye, Sarah. There's a kitty.
He runs off, stumbles, and keeps going. Sarah doesn't laugh. We cut to inside Nancy's apartment. She comes home late, and we hear laughter. Through the door to her mother's room, we see the back of a strange man doing something, and Grace lying next to him. Nancy comes forward. Gradually revealed, the man, a junkie, is fixing up the works, getting ready to inject himself with a hypodermic needle.
Mom.
Grace rouses, but she's wasted and slurring.
What are you doing?
Interrupting you. Hi, honey. Oops. I know I said I wasn't gonna do this shit, but...
She laughs and falls back.
It's okay. We've got the money. We don't have to worry. Nick, can you take the junkie as well?
You want me to fix you up?
Nancy actually thinks about it for a second and then walks away. We cut to the inside of the candle shop. The four girls come in that night, jingling the little metallic skeleton bell. The proprietor, Lirio, stands behind the counter.
My young friends, what can I do for you?
We need provisions.
The girls start selecting candles, herbs, books.
You've been busy.
A sly glance from Bonnie. Sarah wanders over to Lirio. She leans in so the other girls can't hear.
How can I undo a love spell?
Undo? When you open a floodgate, how do you undo it? You unleash something with a spell. There's no undoing it. It must run its course.
Why don't you just let Chris suffer? He deserves it.
It's not for you to judge suffering.
Spare me.
Bonnie comes up and deposits her bag of herbs, candles, and staring at the black curtain.
I'm gonna find out what's behind there.
Lirio starts ringing up the purchases, saying nothing.
Just because we're young and beautiful doesn't mean we're stupid. Except in Rochelle's case.
What?
Is it black magic behind the curtain?
True magic is neither black nor white, just like Michael Jackson said. It is both because nature is both, loving and cruel, ugly and beautiful, all at the same time. Earthquake, sunrise, rattlesnake, rose. It keeps a balance on its own, so you must not throw that balance out. Understand?
Not really.
Nancy has picked up a book. She reads to Bonnie.
To invoke a god is a great deal. It is a guarantee of happiness, of power, even of omnipotence. To invoke a god is practically the same as being a god itself.
In the book, we see an illustration of a witch, seemingly electrified, eyes bright with ecstasy. Lirio has heard this.
If you have a hole in your life, do not try to fill it with the spirit, like food or drugs or sex.
But at least I won't get fat or brain damage or disease. Besides, what I fill my hole with is my business.
The girls laugh. Lirio steps up to Nancy, and she looks very grave.
You can use the spirit, or he can use you.
Nancy takes the book and moves off nonchalantly. Inside the candle shop, we see the girls have all paid, their things all in shopping bags.
Thank you.
She smiles at Lirio. Nancy bends down behind a shelf, handing Sarah her bag.
What are you doing?
Rochelle and Bonnie hustle Sarah out. Nancy climbs behind some boxes and lies down. We cut to the outside of a taco stand. Sarah, Rochelle, and Bonnie watch the candle shop from a table. Actually, Bonnie is watching a group of good-looking guys at a nearby table.
Why didn't you we were doing this?
We thought Nancy told you.
Bonnie smiles at one guy.
If you want it, come get it.
The guys all laugh, embarrassed.
What are you, Nancy Part 2?
I spend most of my life being a monster. Now that I'm not, I'm having a good time. If you can't deal with it, fuck off.
Look.
We angle to the light inside the store, going out. Inside the candle shop, muffled voices as the girls appear outside the door. A litter of pickled fetal pigs bob in a dusty jar of formaldehyde. Nancy crawls out from behind the boxes, brushing against the jar. It falls, and the pigs scatter. Nancy freezes. We cut to inside Lirio's apartment. Ancient and musty, like your mom. Filled with memorabilia, various religious icons. Lirio rises from a daybed and turns the television down, listening. Inside the candle shop, Nancy is covering her nose, slinking over to the door and, holding the skeleton bell still, opening the door.
What's that smell?
I broke a jar.
The girls all see the pigs. Rochelle stifles a gasp.
Relax.
She waves them on. They tiptoe through the pigs. We angle moving toward the black curtain. Sarah does not look pleased. Bonnie takes her hand. We follow the girls as they move toward the curtain and through the doorway. Maintaining one continuous shot, we find it is very bright on the other side. In fact, we're outside and it's daytime. We cut to the outside of the school lawn. Still in the same shot, we move around the girls and see behind them where we come from. Nothing but a broad expanse of open space. Lawn, trees, a few students. Sarah, Rochelle, Nancy, and Bonnie come to a stop, dazed and utterly perplexed.
What?
Sarah looks at her watch.
It's Thursday. 5th period.
Did the same thing happen to everybody else, or just as what happened to me?
What the fuck?
This is just like that time I blinked out after drinking 8 kamikazes at Fung Looms, except this time I'm not waking up in a pool of egg roll vomit.
Will you just shut up? We have just done something amazing. I mean, I have.
Sarah runs off.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
She's starting to get on my nerves.
A crack of lightning and a slow roll of thunder. We cut to the exterior of Mulholland, a murky day. The Mustang slips around a curve, going just a little too fast. We cut to inside Nancy's car, and it's claustrophobic with the hood down. The four girls take up every available square inch. Nancy and Sarah are embroiled in a heated discussion.
You're missing the point. I know we can, but the point is whether or not we should.
If we can, we should.
But if you don't need something, why ask for it?
Because I want it.
Nancy's taking the curves even faster now, closer to the edge.
We've accomplished what we set out to do. I think we should stop. It's like what Lirio said, throwing things out of balance. We might get some things now, but we'll pay for it later.
Are we really having a theological discussion? It's fun. It's scary. Who cares what happens?
I just don't think we should invoke Manon or the spirit or whatever. I don't want to do it.
She turns to Rochelle and Bonnie in the back.
What do you guys think?
Rochelle shrugs. Bonnie takes a long drag from a cigarette and glares at Sarah.
Don't try to get them on your side.
I wasn't.
Are you part of this circle or not?
Of course I am. But I thought it was a democracy, not a fascist regime. And could you please slow down?
Oh, sure.
Suddenly, a pair of headlights flashes around a corner. Nancy swerves away. The car spins out and slams sideways into a brick wall. The girls are thrown around. A window is shattered. Nancy kicks open her door and jumps out, and she pulls out the other girls.
Anybody hurt?
They all look okay, but the car looks bad, maybe totaled. They huddle in the rain in shock, wondering what to do next.
Oh well, I was getting sick of this thing. Maybe I'll get a Range Rover.
Sarah stares at Nancy. We cut to inside Nancy's apartment. She comes in, soaked. The place is empty. Nancy hits the jukebox. Connie starts belting out Fallen, and Nancy sees a note.
Went to Vegas with Greg. Not sure when we'll be back. Money in drawer, Mom.
Nancy looks in the drawer. Some crumpled up 20s. She pours a glass of wine. Inside the living room, we see Nancy sitting on the couch across from the jukebox, an empty wine bottle and glass next to her. Suddenly, she throws the wine bottle at the glass dome over the turntable. The dome smashes. The record skips, the machinery sparks, and the jukebox dies. Close up, a note is passed.
Let's go to the beach.
Another note.
You want a tan?
Another.
No, shithead.
Inside the biology lab, Nancy and Bonnie are writing notes to each other, Rochelle passing them back and forth. Sarah sits next to them, actually paying attention to the droning teacher. Nancy sees this and leans over.
Hey, Professor, we're going on a field trip.
Where?
To the beach at dawn for solstice.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Ms. Downs, I hate to interrupt your little social gathering.
Interior of the hallway, just afterward. The other three face Sarah.
Why? What's the purpose?
We want to give thanks to Manon. Small sacrifices. Rochelle's gonna offer her brain, except that might be too small.
Rochelle ignores the remark.
Listen, we're doing this because we think you're right. We've been taking and taking, and it's time to give back.
Sarah thinks. We cut to the inside of a bus before dawn. The girls are pensive as the bus makes its way up PCH. The only other passenger is a sleeping woman. We cut to the beach, again before dawn. 4 black silhouettes file across the sand against the coloring sky. Breezes flap their clothes. Rochelle steps in Nancy's footprints, Bonnie and Rochelle's, and Sarah and Bonnie's. Nancy carries a tiny snake in a jar. Bonnie, a butterfly in another jar. Rochelle, a parakeet in a tiny wooden cage. And Sarah, a baggie with a goldfish. On the beach, Bonnie finishes laying a ring of stones in the sand. Nancy starts a fire in the middle, and Sarah looks at the snake in the jar.
When I was at my lowest, before I tried to, kill myself, I thought everything had turned into snakes. Everything.
Does it bother you?
No, it's small. I don't care.
It does bother her.
The serpent is very powerful.
Each girl places her offering inside the ring and sits.
Okay. Manon, ruler of the earth, maker of waves, bringer of fire, I present these.
We
present these modest sacrifices.
The girls each light a black candle. They stand and move in a circle.
Winds of the west, strong and true, aid us in our magical work on this, the shortest day, the longest night.
The wind stirs, blowing the girls' hair across their faces.
Serpent of old, ruler of deep, guardian of the bitter sea, show us your glory, we pray to thee. We pray to thee, we invoke thee.
Sarah is shocked.
Come and show us your glory. Come into us. Come unto.
This isn't thanks. You're trying to invoke him.
If we told you, you wouldn't have come.
The sun nears the horizon. Sarah gets up and walks away.
Get back in the ring.
Fish are jumping up above the surface of the water.
We want this.
I don't know what you're so afraid of.
I'm not afraid.
The goldfish flips and flaps violently.
Please, Sarah.
Nancy holds out her hand. Sarah slowly comes forward. They all clasp hands. Far out at sea, a bolt of lightning charges down from a cloud to kiss the ocean. A slow, delayed rumble.
Show us your glory.
The parakeet beats against the cage, forcing its head through slats. The wind thrashes them, and the sky turns dark.
Menno, we invoke thee.
Nancy's eyes roll back in her head. She falls to the ground.
Menno, fill me.
The jars with the snake and butterfly shatter. The snake slithers off, and the butterfly is tossed away in a violent gust. The wooden cage snaps apart, and the parakeet flaps free. The bag bursts open. The goldfish lolls on the sand. Nancy is thrashing violently. The ground actually shakes, an earthquake. Sarah looks at Nancy, the ocean, the snake, sidewinding away. She feels the ground shaking. She's awed and terrified.
Fill me.
That's what she said. Suddenly, a whole huge bolt of lightning descends upon us, fingering Nancy. Everything turns white, then black. We fade up to the beach, the morning, but how much later? Bonnie and Rochelle are waking from a sleep. Sarah sits beside them, dazed.
Jesus. Was he here?
The goldfish pathetically flaps on the sand. Sarah gently picks it up and carries it to the water and lets it go. Then she sees something. The ocean is calm now, not a cloud in the sky. 20 years out, we see Nancy standing on the surface of the water. Sarah is transfixed. Rochelle and Bonnie watch as Nancy walks to shore.
Did you feel him? He blessed me. He's ran through my veins. I can still feel him.
Nancy has a weird, detached gleam, a siren. The girls turn up. Across the beach, there is some kind of commotion. Crowds of onlookers, a TV news van, and a Coast Guard jeep flashing its cherry red lights. The girls get up to investigate. In the midst of the crowd, we dip down to find a great white shark, dead, eyes and mouth bleeding, having beached itself far onto shore. When Nancy sees it, she starts laughing.
Beautiful, fucking beautiful. Look.
We lift up to see all along the coast more sharks, some even bigger, perhaps 15, all dead, beached, and bloody.
Menno is great. He loves us. This is how we know.
Sarah backs away, horrified. She feels nauseous. Rochelle and Bonnie look blank, but Nancy just keeps laughing. Her eyes glaze over in demented bliss.
Thank you, Menno.
She gets down and kisses the sand.
Menno is great.
Inside the bus, as they ride home, Bonnie sits by herself. Sarah whispers to Rochelle.
Something's wrong.
Nancy faces the sun, all of the windows on her side of the bus down. She takes in the wind, practically drinking it, her hair blowing around violently.
I haven't felt this good in a long time.
Suddenly, all the lights on the bus spark and sputter out. The driver is freaking. The controls are seizing up. The bus swerves. Nancy smiles at Sarah, a frightening smile. We cut to the inside of the cafeteria. Amid the lunchtime chaos, we find Sarah, eating her lunch silently, Chris hunched over her shoulder.
Come on. You look like you need someone to talk to anyway. It's just dinner. Why not? Are you too busy hanging out with your scary friends?
She turns to him.
Right. Tomorrow.
He smiles. We cut to the inside of a restaurant at night. It's as nice a place as we can imagine Chris choosing. He wears a coat and tie, surprisingly. Sarah's a little underdressed.
I'm glad we're finally together. It just feels so right. Don't you think? Don't you think this is an incredible thing going on between us?
He takes her hand.
Chris.
Wait, don't answer. I'm rushing things. I'm going to relax now. We have wine coming, even though we're well underage. We have this whole evening. We have our whole lives, right?
Right.
A beat.
Do you love me?
Chris.
We cut to the inside of the car. Chris drives and Sarah rides silently. He turns up a quiet mountain drive.
Where are we going?
There's nothing up here. He parks the car, turns off the lights, and it's quiet.
Why did we stop here?
To talk.
He sidles over to Sarah.
Big trigger warning coming up for anybody watching.
Yes.
Chris, I know you feel really strongly, but have you ever stopped to wonder why?
That's the thing about love. There's no way to figure it out.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. If you're on a surfboard and a tidal wave is coming, you ride it.
Even if you end up drowning?
Chris kisses her neck.
I drown myself in you, Sarah. That's not creepy.
He wraps his arm around her tightly.
Chris, take me home.
A long pause.
No.
He starts to stick his hand inside her blouse. She pulls away, but he's too strong.
Chris, stop it.
No, goddammit! You agreed to come. This is gonna happen.
He rips open her shirt. She starts fighting him off. She reaches for the door handle and opens it. We cut to the roadside. They spill out, but he's still on top of her. He's pulling up her skirt, unbuttoning his pants. He's shaking and panting like an animal. Sarah is terrified, crying. She controls herself.
Okay. Okay. Just let go of my arms.
He kisses him. He smiles and lets go.
Sarah, I've been wanting this so bad.
She reaches down to touch him there. His eyes flutter with pleasure. Then she wrenches her face as if squeezing, and he howls with pain. She elbows him across the face, and he's knocked back. She gets up and runs.
Sarah, what's the matter with you?
He clutches at his groin. We cut to the exterior of a brush. Sarah scrambles through the bushes and trees in total darkness.
Sarah, let me give you a ride home. No hard feelings.
The branches are reaching out at her, scratching her skin as she runs. We cut to the exterior of Rochelle's house. Sarah stumbles up the street, across the lawn, crying and still clutching at her ripped clothes. She makes it up the front steps and rings the doorbell. Rochelle's mother opens the door.
Sarah, are you all right?
Sarah steps back into shadows, turning away awkwardly.
Oh, hi, Miss Mac. Yeah, I'm fine. Tired, I guess. Is Rochelle home?
Rochelle's mother steps back suspiciously. Rochelle runs to the door, Bonnie right behind her.
Oh my God.
Inside Rochelle's room, we see Sarah slumped on Rochelle's bed, wrapped in one of her bathrobes, eyes red from crying. Rochelle uses a damp cloth to wipe clean some of the scratches and cuts. Bonnie watches, nervous.
His eyes were empty. I'd never seen anything like that. He...
When Nancy finds out.
No, don't tell her.
Why not?
We move around Sarah. The girls are quiet.
She doesn't need to know.
Behind Sarah, in a shadow, something moves.
If I didn't know any better,
Sarah whirls around.
I'd say you didn't trust me.
No, I just think that...
Nancy touches a scrape on Sarah's cheek.
Shut the fuck up. I want to talk to Chris about this.
Please don't. He would never have tried this if I hadn't...
That's how they've gotten away with it for so many centuries. She's a temptress. She made him do it. That doesn't work for me. Chris used to grab me at parties after the game, drunk, victorious, and I gave him what he wanted. And for that, he treats me like a slut.
A glass of water sitting on a table across the room shatters.
Nancy.
When Chris hurts you, he hurts all of us. We act as one.
She kisses Sarah on the cheek.
There's a party tonight, isn't there?
At Trey's.
We cut to the outside of a street at night. Nancy walks along the sidewalk. As she passes under each street lamp, it flickers. Nancy is talking to herself in angry bursts. A lamp shatters with a bang in a shower of sparks. We cut to the outside of Trey's house. A big California two-door mansion with drunken kids spilling out onto the lawn. BMWs and sporty Nissans jam every conceivable parking lot. Inside, we see shoulder-to-shoulder revelry. The drunken Dionysian cult that is football. Banners and crepe paper in the football team colors, red and black. At the front door, Nancy makes an entrance and heads turn.
What is she doing here?
Nancy scans the crowd. Inside a bedroom, we see Chris on a bed, ensconced by Trey and Mitt and several other football jocks. Chris takes swigs from a bottle of Jack Daniels, very drunk.
Good game, Chris.
Fuck you too.
They laugh. At the door, a girl runs up.
Nancy Downs is here. She was totally not invited.
Nancy?
He hands the bottle to Mitt and stumbles out. We cut to the stairwell. On the grand staircase, we find Chris at the top and Nancy at the bottom. They meet in the middle.
What are you doing here?
Looking for you.
She nods toward a bedroom off the landing.
Can we talk in private?
We cut to the primary bedroom. Chris walks in with Nancy right behind him. The door slams shut on its own. Chris whirls around and Nancy smiles at him. The room is dark and romantic.
Just like old times, Chris. We had some pretty hot moments, didn't we?
I've been trying to forget.
Nancy is on her knees. She starts to unbutton his fly.
How could you forget this?
He grabs her hands.
Not in the mood?
Not for a venereal disease.
Chris.
Go away.
Nancy rubs her hands over her face, contorting her features.
I said go away.
Nancy's hands run over her face one more time and she transforms into Sarah. Still delirious from being drunk, Chris does a double take.
What the fuck?
Chris, make love to me.
Sarah?
He reaches down and takes her in his arms, kissing deeply and rapaciously. We cut to the outside of a street in front of Trey's. A cab pulls up, and Sarah, Rochelle, and Bonnie get out.
We shouldn't be here.
Neither should Nancy.
They move up the front walkway. Inside the living room, Rochelle and Sarah make their way in through the crowd. Someone pulls on Rochelle's arm. It's Laura Lizzie, in a wig, looking terrified.
Rochelle, how's it going?
Fine.
Sarah's talking to some girl who points upstairs.
Listen, well, the thing is, I've been doing a lot of thinking and I feel bad about some stuff.
A trickle of blood runs down Laura's forehead. Sarah moves away toward the stairs. Inside the master bedroom, the display on a digital clock has gone haywire. Objects on tables, pictures, boxes are moving on their own. Chris, eyes closed, is deep in the throes of making love to, we can't tell at first, Nancy. His eyes open, and he gets a good look at her. He stops and rolls away, freaked.
What the fuck are you doing to me?
Nancy laughs.
You are a witch. They were right.
They usually are.
The door opens, and Sarah steps in.
Sarah's one too.
One what?
The only reason you love her is because she cast a spell on you.
No.
Yes, and that's why I'm here to cure you of Sarah.
Nancy, let's go.
No.
The door thunderously slams shut. Nancy starts floating upward, her feet hanging 2 feet off the ground.
Motherfucking shit.
But I can only think of one way to cure you.
She starts floating toward Chris. He backs up, terrified. Behind him, we open the French doors, a balcony, and a precipitous drop.
I think you're a worthless piece of woman-hating crap and that your case is terminal.
Nancy's face contorts into a grotesque version of herself, and she flies at Chris.
Terminal!
His back is to the railing. 3 stories below guests mingle.
I'm sorry if I ever hurt your feelings, Nancy. You too, Sarah.
Nancy roars with laughter. Then she lightly taps her index finger on Chris's forehead, and he falls back, falling slow motion through space toward a flagstone terrace. His head meets the ground, and we hear bones snapping. Close up, we hear knuckles being cracked. Inside Sarah's room that morning, Sarah watches, sickened, as a male detective and his butch female assistant talk to her. Roger stands in the doorway.
He was drunk. He lost his balance. That's it.
Sarah shuts down and turns to the window. The detective looks annoyed.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. That was helpful.
Outside Sarah's window, she watches. The detective and assistant get in their unmarked car, the detective giving Sarah a look as they drive off.
Sarah, we were thinking maybe you might want to see someone about this. A doctor?
Sarah turns inward, darkens.
I'm not trying to imply anything. I just want you to have someone to talk to, because you certainly aren't talking to me.
Sarah covers her face and rolls onto her bed. Roger leaves her alone. Sarah hears a noise in the bathroom, something small rolling. An X-Acto knife teeters off the sink onto the tile floor. Sarah looks at the knife, terrified. Outside Nancy's apartment building, we see the detective and assistant enter the building. We see the hallway as they approach Nancy's door.
Let's have a little fun with this girl.
Okie dokie.
Inside Nancy's apartment, she faces the two.
We were just talking. He was drunk off his ass. He tripped. That's it.
That's not what Sarah Bailey said.
Really?
She said you pushed him.
Nancy is blank, cool.
Well, then Sarah's a liar and she'll suffer for her sins.
Inside Sarah's room, we see that she lies there, unable to sleep. There's a slight scratching sound at the window, lurking behind curtains. Sarah gets up and checks the latch. More scratching. She moves back the curtains. Outside, Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle are floating midair outside her second-story window. Their faces are chalk white.
We want to talk to you.
About what?
Your suicide.
They all fly toward the window, smashing it in. Glass flies everywhere. Sarah's flung against the far wall. They all keep flying toward Sarah, their hands grabbing at her neck, grinning and giggling, trying to strangle her. And then Sarah wakes up. Inside her bedroom, it's quiet, except for some slight scratching sound at the window lurking behind the curtains. Sarah just stares at it. We see the interior of a hallway that day. Moving through the throngs of students, everyone is whispering, staring at Sarah. A girl is faced away to another girl, pulling books out of her locker.
No, I heard that they were arguing over him because they both liked him, and Sarah freaked out and pushed him, and
Her friend nudges her. The girl turns, pales, and hurries off, mortified. Sarah just stands in the middle of the hall, paralyzed, everyone watching. We cut to the bathroom. Sarah comes in. Girls whisper to each other and hurry out. Sarah finds a stall and locks herself in. She immediately starts crying, sobbing, but trying to remain silent, trying not to lose it entirely. With her face buried in her arms, she doesn't notice the latch on the door slowly sliding open by itself. The door opens.
Hi.
A jolt runs through Sarah as she looks up to see Nancy, Rochelle, and Bonnie.
How are your buddies? The police.
I didn't say anything to the police.
If I were you, that's what I'd say too.
If you leave the circle, you better leave the school.
Maybe the city. We're not sure.
Sarah stares at them all.
Have you been sleeping well?
What?
Nancy and the girls mimic their neck strangling movements from Sarah's dream. Sarah's shock. They laugh.
Why are you doing this?
In the olden days, leaving a coven meant death.
They start off.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to be ya.
We cut to the exterior of Lirio's shop. Sarah runs up to the door. Sarah comes in and the place is empty. She sees the black curtain. She moves to it. Just as she's about to reach it, a hand touches her shoulder and Sarah rolls around. It's Lirio.
Child.
Sarah hugs her, starts crying. Lirio leads her to a chair.
What's wrong? What troubles you so?
My 3 friends. They're using magic against me.
I could see this coming. The totally not blonde one, right?
She killed someone at school. You have to give me something to fight them off.
Lirio looks disturbed by this.
I could do nothing for you, child.
There's got to be something.
Suddenly, a strange breeze moves through the store, like a huge inhuman breath. Sarah looks over, and the black curtain is blowing open, light spilling from inside. Lirio takes Sarah's hand.
Come.
She leads Sarah through the doorway into the interior of a glass-covered courtyard. This is an old atrium with hugely overgrown trees and plants obscuring the light from above, except for a small pool of luminescence at the far end, where, in a shaft of afternoon sun, sits an ancient woman, the witch, on an old wooden chair. She turns to Sarah. She has one milky gray eye and one eye the color of blood. She smiles, revealing rows of rotting brown and missing teeth. She waves Sarah to come over.
Venga aquí, here, venga.
Lirio pushes Sarah forward, past the dozens of bird cages hanging from the gnarled boughs. There are lizards on the walls, butterflies here and there. The arthritically wrenched hand of the witch touches Sarah's cheek. By the way the witch looks off, we know she is blind.
Qué bonita, joven. No me tema. Siéntese.
She says, don't be afraid. Sit down. She won't put you in a trance like she did the other night when you came through here with the others.
Sarah sits at the witch's feet. The witch takes Sarah's hand and touches her ring. She laughs, delighted and demented, babbling on in Spanish.
She says this ring from your mother tells her many things. Your mother was a very powerful woman, very beautiful and strong.
More Spanish from the witch.
She knew many things, but she was afraid of her own power, and you are too.
The witch tightens her grip on Sarah, continuing.
She says, be strong. The craft is a blessing.
And I never knew my mother, but sometimes I think I remember her.
Sarah is softly crying. Lirio holds her. Suddenly, the place is ripped apart in a blast. A huge fireball pours in through the door from the shop. Glass falls from the ceiling. The three women are rocked to the ground. The wall into the shop has crumbled. The place is on fire, utterly destroyed. And then suddenly, the entire scene melds back to its normal state. Silence. Sarah and Lirio are terrified, and a giggle comes from out front of the shop. A silhouette of Nancy moves past a window.
It's Nancy casting visions.
The old witch makes a remark.
She says it's amateurish work, and she's not impressed. But personally, I think it's pretty good.
Getting out of here.
The old witch grabs Sarah's arm, talking to her earnestly.
She says, remember this. No one can use magic against you if you do not let them.
What?
You will understand when you need to.
We cut to the exterior of an alley. Sarah runs in the shadows, the sound of sirens coming closer. It's a bad neighborhood. Dangerous people and gangbangers lurk everywhere. She darts into a street and screech! A BMW station wagon almost hits her. Inside the car are Rochelle and Bonnie.
We've been looking for you.
Sarah backs away.
Why?
Sarah, wait. Thank God we found you. Nancy is totally out of control. We think she's trying to kill you. It's like she's high on Manon or something.
At school, we were just trying to scare you because we were scared. We thought you were going to tell everybody about the coven, Sarah. Get in the car.
Sarah isn't sure.
If Nancy finds you,
We swear on our hearts that we're not shitting you.
Rochelle opens the door. Sarah comes forward. Inside the BMW, Bonnie drives, and Rochelle looks straight ahead. Silence.
Whose car is this?
my mother's. I didn't even tell her I took it.
Sarah leans forward into the front seat area.
Where are we going?
Where do you want to go?
Home, I guess.
Are you sure you want to go home?
It might not be a good idea.
Why?
No answer. Bonnie presses a button that locks the doors all around. Sarah leans back, wary. Nancy is right there, sitting up in the cargo section.
Because I know where you live.
Sarah jolts, heart pounding. Nancy climbs up next to her.
Sarah, what's the matter? You don't look good.
Sarah looks in the rearview mirror. Bonnie won't meet her glare.
What are you going to do to me?
This.
Nancy pulls out an axe, swings it around violently, and buries it in Sarah's chest. A death scream from Sarah, and then the axe vanishes. Nancy smiles coyly. Sarah is hyperventilating.
The question is, what are you going to do to yourself?
They come to an intersection. Sarah looks blank. Suddenly, she explodes in movement, slamming her fist down on the button to unlock the doors, diving out of the car.
Bonnie.
I said shit.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Shit. Double shit. Triple
Bonnie
shit.
grabs a leg, Nancy some hair, but it's too late. Sarah slips away. Sarah's running up a huge old flight of crumbling stairs flanking a hillside. Bonnie takes after her.
Bonnie, never mind. She can't hide from us.
Up the stairs, Sarah is panting, heaving, still running up hundreds of steps. She pauses and looks back. The BMW peels out. Nancy hoots raucously and it echoes up the hill. On the exterior of the hillside road, we see Sarah, hair askew, dirty, and exhausted. She trudges up a curving hillside road. Headlights hit her from behind. She moves out of the way. It's a woman and child in a station wagon.
Please, stop! Please!
The woman lays on the horn and speeds past her. Outside Sarah's house, we see that the place is dark and quiet. Sarah limps up the front walkway. She enters the front hallway and turns the lights on.
Hello?
She checks in the living room, kitchen, nobody. She sees the phone on the table. We angle to the yellow pages open. In the airline section on a small pad, there's written a flight number and a departure time. Suddenly, the answering machine kicks in.
I can't take it here anymore. I'm going back to San Francisco to... just going home. Goodbye. I love you.
Just behind Sarah, something explodes in sound, the phone ringing. Sarah grabs it.
Hello?
Sarah's own voice answers back.
Goodbye. I love you.
All of a sudden, Nancy is laughing on the line.
Pretty good, huh? Your parents must care about you a lot to just jump on the next flight, especially when flying is so dangerous.
What are you talking about?
Behind Sarah, the TV bursts on, playing the news. On the TV, we see footage of a devastating plane crash site.
The FAA officials have retrieved the black box, and the full investigation is pending. Once again, Global Flight 321 from Los Angeles to San Francisco has crashed with no survivors.
Angle. The note reads, Flight 321, Global. Sarah drops the phone. Her eyes flutter and she falls down, woozy, but she doesn't pass out. She sits there dizzy. The camera spins around her, and something else, the lights are flickering. They go out. Quiet, dappled moonlight through the windows. Sarah's losing touch, beyond afraid, sick with doom. She picks up the phone. It's dead. She presses on the hook. Nothing. She gets up, locks the front door, and moves upstairs. Inside her bedroom, Sarah looks out the window, dark and quiet. The doorbell rings. We cut to the stairs. She slowly tiptoes down the steps. The doorbell again. Above the wall in the staircase, behind Sarah, the shadows of tree branches sway slightly in the night breeze. We hear soft hissing. The tree shadows gracefully turn into the shadows of giant snakes. Sarah does not see this. More hissing. She moves to the front door, silently. She peeks through a side window. There's nobody outside. We cut to the front porch, and Sarah very cautiously opens the door. All quiet. The doorbell rings again. We angle on the button. It's pressed without anybody pressing it. Sarah's eyes go wide. She backs away toward the street, backing down the front steps, then stops. She's standing on something strange, hissing. She looks down and she's standing on snakes, dozens of them. The camera pulls back to reveal the huge walkway, the lawn, the sidewalk, the street. They're all composed of a huge teeming mass of thousands and thousands of snakes. It's an ocean. It completely surrounds the house. Sarah turns very slowly, seeing it all. She starts shaking. She can't catch her breath. The snakes hang on from the trees. They cover a car. They pour out of a mailbox. A snake starts to spiral up her leg toward her inner thigh.
No.
She shakes the snake off and tips forward into the safe haven of the porch and back into the house. We cut to the front hall. Sarah robotically comes in, closes and locks the door. We hear a faint girl giggling. Sarah turns and runs into the kitchen. Looking out the kitchen window, we see the hillside is composed of snakes, just like the front. At the front door, something is pounding. Sarah runs out. From the front hallway, we see that the front door is bowing with the monstrous force of a huge creature, pounding with all its might. Sarah sees through the window the silhouette of something inhuman.
Leave me alone.
She backs up the stairs and she ducks into her room. She locks her door, shoving her dresser in front of it. We hear the front door break down. Huge footsteps are coming up the stairs. Deep, inhuman breathing that we've heard before. The doorknob turns. A massive body pounding. Sarah runs into her bathroom. We hear furniture thrown out of the way, smashing and pounding. The wooden slats on the bathroom door splinter. Sarah backs up, panicked and out of ideas. She backs into her shower, closes the door, huddling in the corner on the wet tiles. Smash! The bathroom door shatters. Through the bumpy shower glass, we see a massive beast, vague and hunched over, breathing deep, resonant breaths. It sees Sarah in the shower, moves to her. It moves close to the glass. The door opens. As the glass passes, the shape turns into Nancy, grinning.
Gotcha.
We focus on Sarah. It really makes no difference to her now. She shifted into another mode, a cornered animal. Nancy leans in close.
You know, if I were you, I'd kill myself.
Nancy's hand is reaching for something. The shower handle. She turns it on full blast. Nancy slips away. Sarah just sits there, getting soaked until finally, slowly, she gets up and out of the stall. Totally doused and dripping, she walks out. There are no broken doors, no signs of the huge beats. We cut to the bedroom, and all is normal except just on the dresser. The black and white photo of Sarah's mother in the garden. In the photo, the trees are swaying gently. Sarah's mother looks up and calmly smiles at us. Sarah moves on. From the hallway at the top of the stairs, Sarah comes out, looks down numbly, and starts down the steps. Inside the living room, we see her coming in and standing in the middle of the room. We're moving around her. There's light and shadow, an empty chair, giggling. Now Rochelle sits there. Light shifts. Now Rochelle is over by the window.
Where are my dad and Jenny?
Oh, you'll be seeing them soon.
As soon as you kill yourself.
An empty archway. Sarah looks, and it's Bonnie in the archway now.
No.
Nancy dips down from a shadow over Sarah's head, floating.
What are you waiting for?
Now she's gone.
I'm not going to kill myself.
What was that?
Now a huge boa constrictor is gracefully and silently lowering itself from the ceiling, unseen by Sarah.
I don't want to kill myself.
Well, you don't sound too sure.
Suddenly, the snake coils around Sarah's neck and wraps around it. Her eyes bulge and she paws at the snake, but it's too tight. It starts to lift her off into the ground by the neck. Her feet kick violently. The snake morphs into a rope. Sarah is being hung by her neck. Nancy watches. Sarah gives a silent scream as her neck snaps. She falls to the ground. There's no snake, no rope. She kneels there, choking and rubbing her neck.
Well, if you don't want to kill yourself, then why are you fantasizing about it?
I'm not fantasizing about it.
Why doesn't she use magic on us?
Because she knows it won't work.
No one can use magic against you if you do not let them.
That's right. Now is the end. Let her go in peace.
Now is the end.
The end.
Let her
Let
go
her
in
go in
peace.
peace.
Now is the end.
Let her go in peace.
Sarah gets up.
There's nothing behind that. Your chant is empty. It has no power over me.
Sarah looks out the window. The landscape is normal, without a single snake. Sarah walks to the front hall.
Come back here.
Just as Sarah pulls open the door, she's met by Roger, Jenny, and a familiar woman.
Dad.
She throws her arms around him.
Sarah, we were so worried.
I'm all right now. I mean, really all right.
He looks in her eyes.
I want you to meet someone.
The woman comes forward.
Sarah, this is your mother.
Sarah looks at her and in shock, not understanding.
Hello, Sarah.
She hugs Sarah, who's speechless and on the verge of tears.
How?
You're dead. We all are.
Sarah pulls back to get another look at her, but it's Nancy, who kisses Sarah on the lips and then pushes her down to the floor. The front door slams closed.
You're not leaving.
Nancy leans down in front of Sarah.
Now give me your hands.
Without thinking, Sarah does. And before she can even react, Nancy has taken the X-Acto knife and slashed through Sarah's wrists. Blood runs, and Sarah stares at it.
It's not real.
The fuck it isn't.
Nancy smears the blood up her arm.
No.
She gets up and runs to the door, but Rochelle's there to block it. Nancy grabs a pen and starts writing a note.
I killed Chris. I'm sorry. Love, Sarah.
Nancy puts the pen and the note in Sarah's hands, and she drops them on the floor. The note and the pen are smeared in blood.
My cat. Thanks. That's perfect.
Sarah runs upstairs, panicked and bumping into the wall.
I wish you would relax.
Inside Sarah's bedroom, we see Sarah bounding in, holding her wrists out, bumping into a dresser and knocking the photo of her mother off the table. The glass cracks. She stumbles into the bathroom, where she opens the medicine cabinet. She fumbles for some bandages, but the box only has a few small band-aids. Sarah slips to the floor, crying and hopeless. She sees the photo on the floor. She crawls to it, touches the glass, and she thinks. Cut to the living room where Nancy and the girls are sitting there. Rochelle and Bonnie look very glum.
I was just thinking.
Please, I'm not in the mood for any of your stupid ass comments.
You know, I'm really not that stupid.
Oh, then exactly how stupid are you? Jesus. Let's go upstairs and see if she's dead yet.
You didn't say please.
But now or I'll fucking kill you.
Nancy lunges at her. Afraid, Rochelle gets up.
Bonnie, come with me.
Inside the upstairs hallway, Rochelle is going from room to room.
Sarah, are you dead yet?
She meets up with Bonnie.
Where is she?
We cut to the inside of Sarah's bedroom. They see blood drips and smears on the floor.
Gross.
She was in here.
The drips lead over to double doors. Rochelle opens them to reveal a long, strange-looking hallway with flickering sconces.
I don't remember this.
They step forward. Downstairs with Nancy, we hear distant screams.
Bonnie? Rochelle?
She goes upstairs. Inside Sarah's room, we see that following the drops of blood, she goes to the double doors, opens them, seeing the hallway. Nancy stops. She picks up a book and throws it into the hallway, and the book vanishes, causing a soft gash. The image of the hallway dissipates like fog. Nancy turns around.
Nice try. Actually, it's a pretty dumb try.
Then out of the bathroom comes a screaming, bloody Sarah, shoving Nancy out the double doors. Nancy flies out into the darkness. And then silence. Sarah creeps forward and peers into the black. A crack of thunder and the skies flash, illuminating Nancy, who lies motionless on the pavement, her neck at an impossible angle. Rochelle and Bonnie are climbing out of the bushes nearby. A breeze stirs the trees and a horn honks. Outside the house, Roger and Jenny are getting out of a tow truck. Sarah comes out the front door, walks right up and hugs her father.
Honey, we tried to call, but there's something wrong with the phones. We've had the strangest day.
He sees her wrists.
Sarah!
Don't worry. I'm fine now.
She passes out in his arms, and we fade to black. We fade up in a hospital room. Sarah lies in bed, her wrist bandaged, in a daze. A nurse stands over her.
Some friends are here to see you.
The nurse goes in. In file, Rochelle and Bonnie, who has her arm in a sling.
Hi.
How are you?
Sarah just stares at them.
Well, okay. We want you to know that we're really sorry about your wrists and all, and it wasn't our idea to try and kill you, and we hope you can forgive us.
And you were totally right about not abusing the craft. Not that it really matters anymore. We lost all our powers. Do you still have any powers?
Sarah looks at them for a long time.
Get out.
We totally understand if you're mad.
Get out!
Bonnie and Rochelle fumble for the door. We dissolved at the inside of a public library. By day, I said library. By the children's section. Mothers and young daughters are filing in. A young girl sees Sarah setting up chairs in an alcove.
Mommy, that's the best reader.
That's nice. I'll see you in an hour, okay? If you need me, you've got my pager number and the car phone and the portable fax.
What a time. She kisses her daughter and goes. Inside the reading alcove a bit later, Sarah sits in the front of the room with some 15 young girls very intently listening to her read a story.
So the old woman packed up her basket and went home.
Sarah checks around. No adults in sight. She looks at the girls and the lights start to dim.
But late that night, all the animals in the forest came out to the wishing well.
Very gradually, as if through a mist, a well appears just behind Sarah. A deer walks out from behind a bookshelf.
They all wanted to know if the magical powers were true.
An owl flaps in and perches atop a shelf. Rabbits hop by. Butterflies flutter down. The girls are wide-eyed.
And even though the old woman had warned them about the well, they decided to try anyway. They would have to learn the lesson themselves.
A blackbird lands atop the book. Sarah turns the page, and we fade out.
Woohoo! We made it,
Very,
y'all.
very different ending.
Right? I
Right?
was
Yeah,
ready
definitely.
to bind her.
I know.
Aw.
I was
We
ready
don't
to
have
act all
anything.
crazy in the hospital tied to my bed.
Yeah, there was no hailing to the gardens. There was none of that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was ready.
Aw, I'm sorry. Well, that was
Dad, you
our
killed her.
reading. Yeah. That is weird that they killed her at the end. I think it was better that they killed her, but I think I would have had a combination of the two endings, I think. I would have liked better. But
Yeah.
anyway, this was The Craft, and we were raising funds for the Belleville Area Humane Society. So if you liked it, go ahead and send a donation. We appreciate. I want to give a shout out to particularly Nick and Kenna for having to just on the fly change parts around and everything. I threw languages at both of them. Yeah, so great job to both of you. And Watson for having to fix their internet in the middle of the whole thing. This was kind of a cursed read, but we made it through, so I appreciate it.
I feel like
Well,
that
you know what's
First
really
read while
funny is
so
when
many
they were
curses are happening.
when they were filming The Craft, there were a lot of weird cursy things that were going on because they were dealing with crafty stuff.
Interesting.
There's
So
like a
maybe
lot of
this-
lore about it.
Huh. Well, I guess it was our home fault for picking this one. I want to shout out Raya as Rochelle, killing it, loved it. And I didn't realize how much they made fun of her for being dumb in this. This was like, it was so weird to me. Like, there's a couple of that in the movie, but not so much as in the script. That was weird. Anyway,
But
thank you, Ryan.
I'm really smart in real life.
Absolutely, you are, and kick ass, and we love you. Want to shout out Kelsey as Bonnie, killing it. I love the costume change midway through. Big shout out to our amazing Nancy, Michelle, because not everybody can do Nancy. So that was pretty amazing. Loved it. And our dad, Sean, for coming back and finishing out as Sarah Bailey and finding the script for us and everything we appreciate. And our wonderful Danny Wilson, our narrator, for goodness gracious, doing so much narration tonight. I appreciate it. I'm Ginger, as always. We thank you for tuning in. And hopefully, we'll probably come back around Christmas time as my guest. So tune in, and hopefully we'll have something for Christmas time.
My basement might be finished then, so yay!
Yay! All right, bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.